Hey, how you doing? This is SEIJIHITO here to bring you another live stream. I'm going to try my best to keep this as short as possible. We got a few videos directly go over, and I just wanted to specifically highlight this because it annoys me to no end to see people who want to masquerade and talk about Black Americans who are not they themselves Black Americans, but they want to try to stand on this type of soapbox and try to pretend that, oh, I am not a monolith like the rest of them. I'm this, that, and the third. Look at how good I am. Look at how I'm sitting up there living. Look at how I move. And now from the stance, let me sit up there and critique all the Black Americans and da 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 da, all this other type of good stuff, right? Just to try to show to the world that they are better than the rest. And again, these are the types of people that are masquerading, as we can clearly directly see from the photos here. He is with his wife doing a Haitian slash Caribbean drink test for the first time, right? And then you third picture, you have an up close and personal look directly of the husband and wife couple. And then at the bottom, he basically states that he was raised on Haitian music. Again, I'm just stating, just trying to put directly out there that obviously this person is not a Black American before we get directly into the video. So here we go.
This post may piss off some people, but here we go. Why is it okay for so-called Black Americans to basically be excused for owning humans, aka slaves? Yeah, at some point in history, Black Americans also owned humans like everybody else on Earth in the old days. We had so-called Black American slave owners too. And back to the question,
Hey, what is
why
up,
is
Shan?
it excusable, right, for Black Americans to own people? Society seems to excuse that. There's never a conversation about that ever. It's almost like it's off limits. But here's what's not excusable. So-called white Americans for their participation in owning humans. For some strange reason, society loves to shame and drag so-called white Americans for their participation in owning people, slaves. So Black Americans get a pass of owning people, but so-called white Americans do not get a pass of owning people. Make it make sense. But these are just some of the disgusting double standards in 2025.
So let's just go over. This is just a brief type of thing. Number one, you have Black people, if they were able to even own slaves. A lot of these times it was due to the fact that if the slave master died, he left the plantation directly to one of his slaves, trusted slaves, whatever you want to sit up there and call it. Usually because of indoctrination, usually because of lack of worth, lack of value. A type of teaching of which he thinks that he is better than because he is the slave master's right hand. He is going to see himself as superior and as pretty much next to the slave master. Therefore, that Black individual who is owning those slaves is going to more than likely treat those slaves far worse than the slave master because of everything that I stated, right? Again, indoctrination, brainwashing. Then on top of that, you had Black Americans who were able to own slaves, quote unquote, as he stated. Those Black Americans were doing everything possible in order to buy back their families that were sold off at the hands of those who are clear cut in control of the United States, especially during that time. It's very amazing to me that whenever these types want to start speaking directly on Black Americans, want to start speaking directly on history, they never want to delve deep directly into the context and the reasons why these things were specifically happening. They always want to just make it, oh, look at what Black people did, but yeah, white people did this, no one's excusing it. But whenever Black people sit up, notice how the talking points sound very, very familiar. Because again, these are not his talking points. He did not make these talking points up himself. He clearly got it from somebody else, right? Let's pay attention.
And that's why I continue to expose this nonsense, because if you're going to have the same anger and energy for so-called white Americans for owning people, my thing is you should also have the same exact energy for so-called black Americans for owning humans as well.
Okay, so I like how he wants to go back and forth, right? So on one angle, he wants to say that, yeah, you have so-called white Americans that own black people, right? But then when he wants to talk about black people, he'll be like, well, you had black Americans that own humans. Why are you trying to all lives matter this? We didn't own everybody. It was very, very specific. It was very, very finite. I don't like when people want to try to make a type of point and then you want to fluctuate in between words because you think people are just stupid and they're not going to pay attention to what it is that you're trying to levy, the argument that you're trying to sit up there and make. We're not doing that. We're not doing that here. And this is clear cut why I sat up there and stated before why I don't like a lot of these folks who are just now getting here speaking directly on Black American topics, culture, issues, problem, community, relationships, children, whatever it is. You just stay directly back. Like I said before, let me just go back to the main photo. Again, this is the same exact person with his wife who decides that he wants to speak this type of way about Black Americans in their history. This is the exact same person who wants to sit up here and talk about Black Americans and their history, and he himself is not Black American. Crazy how that works. Crazy how somebody like this can never seem to talk about the men or the people of his community. He never wants to bring them up directly in a bad light. He never wants to browbeat them. He never wants to deem them to be criminal. He never wants to make them the supervillains of history. He never wants to do a compare and contrast and all these other types of things. Matter of fact, people like this don't even like making content about their own people. It's crazy. But let's keep going.
So let me get this straight. It is acceptable whenever a so-called black American says, I'm proud of being black, right? That gets celebrated whenever black Americans are proud of their so-called race, which is being black, right? But it is the complete and total opposite for so-called white Americans when they are proud of their so-called race, which is being white.
So let's take a look at that, right? He said on one instance, when Black Americans want to be proud of who it is that they are, it's completely good. It's a positive thing, right? But then when white people do it, for whatever reason, it's deemed as a negative. See how he wants to tote this type of line to try to say that everything is basically equal, but everything is just uneven in America solely because of Black Americans. Black Americans do all of these things, but then once somebody else does it, now it's deemed this, that, and the third, as if Black Americans are the problem, established the problem, founded the problem, and made sure the problem, in a sense, stayed directly in place. We don't have a history of that. If you look throughout history, one way or another, it has always been deemed to be a negative to have the skin complexion that you have as a Black American, one way or another. I, at no point in time in history, have seen Black folks directly out here historically having signs out here saying that no Caucasians are allowed. We don't do that. Like I said, there's a multitude of images and pictures directly out there that this clown could go up there and peruse to figure out why it is that you have Black Americans that were like, yo, I'm proud to be Black. I'm proud to be who it is that I am. I'm proud of my history. Because for the longest time possible, no matter how it is that we looked at it, we've always been deemed as a negative every single time. And it's always been used against us, even still to this day. Because case in point, everybody wants to copy the things that Black Americans do that they consider, oh, it's a vibe, it's fun, it's this, that, and the third. But when it's time to actually be Black, when it's time to actually stand directly on something, when it's time to actually fight and represent something, to fix something, to move it in a positive direction, none of these folks out here got nothing to say, especially somebody like him. Don't got nothing to say. And like I said, it's always these type of clowns that decide that they want to come up out of the blue and they want to start talking this, that, and the third. And I want to remind you, I went through a lot of his content. And the craziest part is I went through a lot of his videos. He originally, he quote unquote, I'm a vegan. I work out. I do this. I do. That's all of his stuff. Originally, all of his videos were of him sitting up there jogging, walking, working out, lifting weights, talking about health, talking about fitness. But because that was not moving, because nobody cared about none of that vegan content that he was doing because it's all trash, he decided to turn his eyes like, oh, let me start doing these conservative talking points. I pretty much got somebody that's close to Caucasian on my side. That is my wife. And I'm not the stereotypical black male in America. So let me just sit up there and start barking these talking points that everybody else does so I can generate some type of views, so I can generate some type of attention, so I can get something moving in the algorithm, right? Because again, everything that he's saying is playing towards a specific demographic in the United States. But let's continue.
Yeah, everyone has a problem with the white American being proud of being white. That gets labeled as hateful or racist when white Americans announce that they are proud of being white. Why is it okay for everybody else, Hispanics, Asians, so-called black people, to be proud of their race, but that same respect can't be given to the white American for them to be proud of their race?
And again, this idiot doesn't want to look at the context of what it is that he's speaking. Normally, historically speaking, when you've ever heard white people just outwardly saying that they are proud to be white, that normally follows right behind racism. I got pictures directly of white folks being proud to be white directly in churches, but they were also wearing sheets and hoods. The same folks that talked about being proud to be white, they were sitting up there burning crosses. They were doing a variety of other things at train stations and picnics. They were doing a variety of things dealing with alligators. They were doing a variety of things with human zoos. They were doing a variety of things such as burning down black towns and cities and turning them into industrial sites. They were doing things such as, oh, we're going to swap the water. We're going to give the white counterparts in the communities, we're going to give them the clean water, and then we're going to give the black folks down there in the South, Mississippi or wherever it is, we're going to give them the runoff from the factories in order to stave off them being able to further populate, right? But like I said, this clown right here doesn't want to look at those facts. He doesn't want to pay attention to the history and what it is that black people have gone through. And we're not talking about something that's like 200, 400 years ago. We're talking about recent. I'm talking about as old as a lot of people's grandparents at this moment in time. So miss me with all of the stuff talking about, oh, you're talking about stuff of the past and this, that, and the third, and all this other type of stuff, and la 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 la. Ain't not nearly a black person ever tell a white person that you don't got the right to be proud to be who it is that you are. We ain't never say that. We ain't never say that. We just know within context what that comes directly with, what it specifically means, what it directly leads to, and historically what has happened whenever this has always been preached. Matter of fact, don't y'all, for white people, don't y'all got like the Proud Boys and all of this other type of stuff directly out there that always preach a certain type of rhetoric and say how proud they are and all this other, like there's a variety of groups directly out there that represent white folks. And usually when they say that, you start hearing a lot of racism, you start hearing a lot of racial slurs, right? Like I said, any moment in time that I said that I love being black and all those things, that's it. It's not followed behind racial slurs. It's not followed behind trying to go into somebody else's community and burn down their towns, their cities, their villages. It's not about trying to run directly through and cause chaos and pillage whatever it is that I can and then turn around and try to play victim. I ain't never do that. But like I said before, he doesn't want to specifically point out the history. He wants to play to the narrative because he knows that as soon as white folks hear him speak the way that they want him to speak, they're going to start tuning in. They're going to start giving him money because that's how easy it is for somebody like him to start making money directly from white folks. Like I said, it's not that difficult to get money from white people. Case in point, this guy here, and case in point, a lot of other ones directly out there. If you don't believe me, go on social media. Look at the talking points. Look at high white conservatives that are proud of who it is that they are. Listen to their talking points about all the many different demographics in the United States and how they want quote unquote white to be first. And then listen to these guys here and how they take those exact same talking points and do a little bit of a flip. They add a little bit something to it, but it's pretty much still the same thing, just different levels. But anyways, let's keep going.
That's a problem whenever they are proud of being white. What is going on, man? Why is it like this? It is so disgusting. If you can be proud of your race, if you're so called black, Asian, or Hispanic, I think it's okay for white Americans to have the same exact pride for their so called race as well. Why the hell not? Double standard 2025, let's go. So, it's okay for black Americans to have the NAACP. No one has a problem with that. It's racist if Caucasian Americans have a NAAWP.
So question, I'm just trying to figure out because last time I did my little bit of research, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but the main two people that were on SSI and government assistance, the first two was basically a white man and a white woman, right? So again, the system is there to help out their own people. Cool, fine, no problem. Don't got an issue with that. So in what universe dealing with the United States in the history of the United States would white people need a white version of the Dublin Dublin ACP? I'm just a little bit confused. Again, hamster fell directly off the wheel when I had to repeat this. I'm just a little bit confused. Like, when at what point in time would white folks even need an organization to represent them so that they could potentially get any type of little bit of equal treatment in the United States? Because the funniest thing that I've noticed that when I hear folks basically cry, well, specifically, let me just point it to him. Whenever I hear people like him try to cry and body block for white people, I always think to myself, I'm like, white people, in a sense, like I know that America is white, right? I know that the corporations are white, right? The faces on the money are white, right? The people in government, the greater majority, are white. The 99.9% of the presidents that we've had are white. So it's like it goes without saying. So it's a little bit weird to have people say that, yo, why can't white people talk about representation or be represented? You've always been represented. The White House is white, for God's sakes. It's called the White House. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about at this moment? Is that like I'm vastly confused. And again, historically speaking, when have white folks ever needed a reverse of any of the black organizations that are directly out here? That's what I'm just trying to figure out. I'm just trying to figure that out. Because I've never known, historically speaking, in the United States, I've never known white people to be weak, right? Right. Look at it. Look at all of the things that white people have done, right? Look at all of the things that white people have built, right? Look at all of the money that white people have brought directly into this country and everything that they've established: corporations, businesses, banks, governments, military, all of these things, right? White folks' money, right? So, at what point in time have white people been on such a decline in the United States historically that they would need the same thing as black people have in their organizations? I'm just trying to figure that out. I'm just trying to figure that out. Because are we now trying to say that white people are at such a point now that they're victims? Is that what is that the argument that he's trying, that white people are basically weak now? Is that the argument that he is making? Because it seems like that to me. Because at no point in time, historically speaking, can I ever point to a time that white people are weak, right? Is it just me? Is it just me? Because I can point to a time in history where everybody else had tremendous amounts of issues. because the system that is in place specifically was not built for them. The system, the government that we have, if people are to be honest, it is built for white people by white people. So again, they're going to have their own best interests and themselves at mind first. No problem. You see exactly what Trump is doing, right? You see exactly what JD Vance is doing, right? They have their own people at first. America, right? Which doesn't really have to do with anybody else. It has to do really with white Americans, making sure that whenever anybody idealizes and thinks about America, you imagine, quote unquote, the greatest of the greatest, the God of gods, right? So again, I'm just trying to figure out, historically speaking, how does this work? How does this work? I've never seen white people in the United States as weak. But this is the argument that he's trying to levy and give directly to white folks, right? I could have sworn that mentally, white people, as normally people say, white people mentally are strong. So why would you need this person who is not even a black American to talk to some area within you to speak to that weakness, which doesn't even exist? Like I'm just trying to figure out like how does this work? Like how, like specifically, I'm asking white people because I know y'all sitting in the background listening. How does this specifically work? Like, how do y'all literally pay these faces that are not even black Americans? How do you pay them to literally speak to you in such a way to deem you as weak in order to uplift you when you're already uplifted by your own society, your own creations, your own culture, the country that you founded? I'm a little bit confused. Having him basically do these talking points, now that makes you look weak. Watching y'all pour money directly into pockets like this, that makes you look weak. Because you're basically verifying everything that he's saying, that you have a weakness within you. When you stated yourself that you are the strongest of the strongest. Look at America, right? You're patriotic. You got American might. You got the strongest military out of the whole world. Free world, the first world country. Everybody wants to come here. Where is the weakness? That's all I'm trying to figure out. White folks, answer that question for me. I'm literally asking a question. Where is the weakness? Because everything that I listed, I don't see it. So how is he trying to basically talk about that you guys are lacking in such a way that there needs to be a comparison of what black folks are doing? Y'all need to be able to get the exact same things too. Since when? When have y'all needed anything that black people were able to sit up there and get in this country? Since when? You founded this country, right? You built this country, right? You modernized this country, right? As quotas y'all like to say, you civilized the savages, right? You civilized these lands. When at any moment in time have you needed the exact same things that black people are receiving? Aren't black people supposed to be on the lower end of the spectrum and you're on the top end? So again, I'm trying to just figure out and understand whatever argument that he's trying to make so that he can seemingly gear it directly towards white people so that he can get money directly from y'all. Like I said, this is how easy it is for y'all to get tricked and for money to sit up there and get taken directly out of your pockets to facilitate stuff like this. It's crazy work. It's diabolical. But anyways, let's continue. My bad.
They're not allowed to. They're racist. Black Americans have affirmative action. No one has a problem with it. It's racist if white Americans have affirmative action.
So let me just go over this ignorance again, and this is something that I've covered statistically speaking. White women and Asians and many others are the ones that profited the most from affirmative action and also DEI initiatives. So it's crazy to me how he's making it seem that affirmative action and DEI is specifically just for black people. Nobody said that. Nobody said that. Whenever any of these initiatives were made, people made sure that other people were hooked directly into that. It just wasn't specifically for black folks. White women profited from affirmative action. And you see what's happening after affirmative action is out of there. White women profited from DEI. You see what happens when DEI is out of there, right? You see how the landscape is basically changing, where now you got the white men directly up there getting all the positions, and now women got to sit up there and figure out what to do. Like I said, the narrative and how it is that he's trying to sit up there and spin this, this is how easy it is to trick a lot of people. This is literally how easy it is to trick a lot of people, and it's crazy. It is so crazy, but looking at his comment section, a lot of white folks agree with him. They're sitting up there amping him up. Like, yeah, brother, I want to sit up there and buy you a beer. Word, he's literally calling you weak. He's saying that you need the exact same things that black people are able to get into America in order for you to just be. That don't even make any sense. I've never known that to even be historically accurate. What are we even talking about here? What universe are we at? Is it just me? Is it just maybe it's just me? You know what? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Well, let's keep going. Well, wait, Sonny, you said I think I'm subscribed to him, but stop watching because he seems obsessed. Yeah, I was looking through those videos and I'm like, dog, who are you trying to market yourself towards? I'm like, this is hey, like I said, it's 2025. I ain't judging. But the way that he had angles, and I'm like, bro, who this you I don't know what demographic you trying to brother. I don't know who you trying to capture, but it seems as though you're trying to capture a whole nother group of which are not even, directly on your page. I'm like, yo, this is looking cry. I ain't never seen nothing like this before. Like I said, Sonny, so you've seen some of his content. Like I told people earlier, originally he started off talking about vegan stuff. He was like working out. I'm sitting up there jogging, talking about healthy this and healthy that and all this. All of that content was trash. Nobody cared about it. Nobody was engaging. He didn't really have no content, no comment, no views. It wasn't even peaking in the algorithm at all. He didn't really, in a sense, technically start moving a little bit, just turning the knob just a little bit. It's not even on high heat. It's on the lowest heat possible setting. He didn't really start moving up until he started talking like this. And I'm like, you one of those. And again, he's not even Black American. But yeah, he's talking about Black Americans any chance that he gets because he's getting a little bit of a bump every time he basically talks about it. He's getting a little bit more comments every time he talks about it. People are hyping him up a little bit more every time he talks about it. I'm like, this is crazy. It's crazy, but it'd be like that though. Let's continue.
They're not allowed to. It's racist. Black Americans are allowed to have a all black television network called BET. No one has a problem with that.
Brother, what are you talking about? Every not bro, but so you're talking about one station out of 1,000 cable channels that we have directly out here. We got ABC for God's sakes. We got Fox News, Fox News, Fox News, MSNBC. I'm from Detroit, so you got stuff such as Fox 2, WDIV, XYZ. All of those good things there. I'm just trying. Every time that I would normally go through the channels, and I'm talking about going back to the days of Comcast before it was Xfinity, when Comcast was solely in Detroit, when it was just in a Michigan, type of deal. You had if you had the gray cable box, and it had the numbers directly on the box itself, along with a remote control. Right. That's how far back I'm taking it. Whenever I would turn the channel, I would always see white folks. Whenever I would see infomercials, I would always see white folks. Whenever I would see commercials, I would always see white folks. 9 times out of 10, if I happen to actually watch movies that's just out there, I would happen to see white folks. Home Alone, for God's sakes. White folks. So I'm like, I'm a little bit confused on how it is that he's trying to make it seem as though that white people are not getting any type of shine, as if their light is just getting dimmed by everything else and everybody else is getting highlighted over white. What are we doing? What are we doing? White folks, this is the type of content that y'all really love. This is the type of stuff that y'all really agree directly with somebody of this person, because he ain't Black American. Somebody like this, an immigrant, talking to y'all as if y'all weak. Huh? He's supposed to represent and body block for you. He is your guard dog. That's what we're doing. That's what we've finally come down to. Because before, when I would look online, I would normally see white dudes sitting up there talking about white issues and problems and, how they feel about society and the outlook and their representation. Cool, got it. No problem, right? And again, that content ain't for me, but I get it. You're talking to your demographic. You're talking directly to your people. You're trying to be the beating heart, the voice directly for that. Got it, no problem. But now you got people like this basically doing those talking points and speaking directly for you. That to me is weak. This right here, this little wrapped up package that I'm showing you, this speaks weak directly to me. Because at no moment in time in history did I ever think that I would see that white people would need somebody else to represent and to speak on their behalf or for them or use their talking points in order to get whatever narrative that they want to put out there across. That's crazy to me. Like that is diabolical. Like we and again, even going back to the cable thing, we there was not a lot of channels out there to really highlight anything black. Like I said, I used to watch MTV and VH1. Yo, you would have to, you could really count how many times they would actually show black artists. You could really count MTV and VH1. Those were the main go-to areas that people go. Like these are the reasons that BET was even a thing. Because we have our own artists, we do our own music that's separate from everybody else. So it's like, but we couldn't break through and go to those stations because they didn't want to play our music because they didn't see no benefit, they didn't see no interest. So then once BET and everything else was created like that, they were like, oh snap! It was like, yo, we can actually get money from putting black artists directly on our channels. We can actually get money from interviewing these artists. People actually care. It's like, so we can actually make, so the again, we can monetize this and make money solely on our side off of these artists. Okay, cool. Allow them directly over here. Bring them all to VH1. Bring them all to MTV. Interview them. Play their music. Play their albums. Do it behind the scenes. Like I said, as long as they're able to profit, as long as they're able to make money, that's when they were allowed to come directly over to those channels. As long as they can make money, as long as they can profit, that's when they're going to allow shows like, the Cosby Show, Living Single, Martin, right? Parenthood, right? In the House, Hanging with Mr. Cooper. The moment in time that they can monetize and make money off of black Americans, that's the moment that they're going to let them in. But the moment in time that they're like, okay, well, it's doing a little bit too good, it's a little bit too positive, we're going to throw that out. And like I said, and for a lot of white folks directly out there, let me just let y'all know this, because a lot of y'all don't know. You wouldn't have friends if it wasn't for living single. Just to let you know. Just to living single is the blueprint as to why it is that you even have a friends. Dun, 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 dun. Right? So I just wanted to put that out there because a lot of people happen to tend to forget. And a lot of people tend to think that black Americans don't have an effect, don't have movement directly in culture, and don't have their own creations of which are copied and or stolen. But yeah, anyways, let's get directly back to the video.
But everybody will have a problem if Caucasians have a all so-called white television network called WET. It's racist. They're not allowed to. Black Americans are allowed to have all black colleges. No one has a problem with that. But so-called white Americans are not allowed to have all white colleges because it's racist.
Does this idiot not understand that at once? So let me just educate people. Matter of fact, let me just see. Let me just type this in, right? Because this dude is an idiot. Uh, so at one point in time, you did have colleges, right, that were free. But let's just do the simple route. Let's just go by AI real quick because I don't feel like going through the memory banks and through videos, right? So from AI, they said colleges weren't universally free at a single point in time. Historically, tuition-free education was more common to public universities up until the late 20th century, with policies changing specifically due to increased enrollment and reduced state funding in the 1960s and the 1970s, where early institutions like the Free Academic of New York were founded for free tuition, and land grant colleges offered lower cost or free options the practice declined as public funding or higher education decreased. So I want people to pay attention to the times that they specifically stated that, in a sense, the free colleges started not being free. They said the 1960s and the 1970s. What was specifically happening during the time of the 1960s and 70s? Just wonder. It's almost like what was happening, during those same time frames when it dealt with gun rights. Because what happened when black people started practicing their gun rights? Magically, laws started changing. It's real amazing how things take place in transition. A moment in time when black folks start showing directly up to the scene. So yeah, in America, we did have free college at a moment in time. But as I said before, it was policies, increased enrollment, crazy stuff like that. Right. But again, whenever I think about white colleges, what is it? Yale, Oxford, Stanford, these Ivy League colleges. I don't know all the names of them, but they're out there. They're out there. And a lot of these colleges, and especially if you go from a variety of states, a lot of these colleges, population wise, white people are the highest population, the highest majority at those colleges. So it's like it's crazy to me. That this dude wants to sit up there and say that, yo, why is it racist if all, white people just want to have an all white college? They've had those for the longest times possible. It wasn't up until recent times that people decided to switch stuff around. What was the car company? I forgot what it was. Somebody can correct me in the comment section. At one moment in time, like the reason why black people like Cadillac was due to the fact that that was the one main car company where they were like, all right, we're gonna let for a variety of reasons, we're gonna let black people in a sense start buying our cars. Other car organizations, they were like, no, we ain't sitting up there selling to black people. You're not about to be driving our cars. We literally bought Cadillac back from the grave, and that was black folks. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I might have the names, but I could swear it's Cadillac. I could swear. Somebody can correct me directly if I'm wrong, but I could swear directly from the memory banks it is Cadillac. There's been so many times that black Americans have bought certain companies back from the grave because not even white people wanted to support them. So again, it's crazy to me how it is that those things happen to work. Matter of fact, let's go to the point of Marvel and looking at Blade. Marvel is down in the dumps. Marvel has been in debt for a lot of years. They had to sell off a lot of their content in order to stay afloat. This is why when it deals with Marvel films, you don't see a lot of Marvel characters in a lot of these films because Sony owns some, Warner Brothers owns some, somebody else owns some, and another person owns. Like I said, Marvel had to sell off a lot of their stuff in order to stay afloat. But you know what happened when they released Blade? Uh-oh, look at how somebody black, just the interjection of just just one black character revitalized that. It wasn't Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. It was Blade. Blade is the reason that you're able to sit up there and have all of these Marvel films directly about here. Again, another showcase of the interjection of black folks just one into a place having a very positive effect. Crazy work. It's diabolical. Just saying. We save a lot of stuff directly out here where even white people decide to let their own stuff die. So, like I said, it's crazy to me that this same person wants to sit up there and try to do this tit for tat. So, what I'm trying to get through to a lot of people is he's trying to do the exact same thing that everybody else accuses black Americans of doing, which is talking about race and using race as this type of point and trying to do this tit for tat. He's literally doing that, and he's directing it towards white people, and white people are eating it up. And I'm like, word, I could have sworn that white people said that they were more intelligent, right? High IQs, that they could see past a lot of type of BS. But yet I see people clamoring towards content like this when the person looks exactly like this and they're giving these type of talking points. Just saying. But let's continue.
They're not allowed to. And that's the double standard for 2025. Wow. This may piss somebody off, but here we go. I'm glad as a 40-year-old man, 40, I do not have a criminal history. I don't have 1,000 baby mamas around with a bunch of children around the world that I've never met. I'm happy I don't sag my pants and show my underwear around public. I'm so happy I don't smell like weed all day.
So I just want to note to people that he's talking about a certain demographic, but he's generalizing that as if it's the rest of black men. See how that works? See, let me just pull back to this picture again. This is the person that we're talking about here. It doesn't even seem like the person that we're even talking about even married somebody of his same complexion, which is a lot of people would like to talk about, which would be deemed as self-hate, right? You don't like the reflection of yourself, so you will go somewhere else because you think that it is better or nicer or more pleasant or more palatable, right? And that's clearly what we're able to sit up here and see here, right? All smiles in both pictures when he's basically around this woman, and then when he's by himself and he's just contemplating big brain stuff, he's talking about black Americans, and then he wants to fixate on how he's on this pedestal as this type of representative, and how he has no identifiable traits that is linked to any of the negative behaviors that he wants to talk about one specific minority that's a part of a group, but wants to generalize that one specific minority part of a group and make it seem like it's the general perception or the general branding of all black men directly out here. 1,000 baby mamas. What are we doing? What are we even talking about? 1,000? I don't even know of any black men out here that got 1,000 kids. Word. Now we're just taking this somewhere. Come, come on, come on. Like, what are we doing? Like what are we really doing? Again, this is the same person who is of a different community who came into the United States and wants to speak on black Americans because they can't talk about themselves. Like I said before, all of his content is trash. His workouts, trash. Veganism, trash. Health talk, trash. All of that content, trash. And because it's trash and he knows it's trash, the only option that he has to go to is to use the melanin that he has to speak as though that he's a representative of black Americans or black American men and give some twisted version of white talking points in order to gain a little bit of light. This is what black Americans talk about every single time when we're talking about all of these other melanated folks directly out here trying to masquerade, trying to cosplay. This is a clear-cut example of what that looks like. This is a clear cut example of what that looks like. And people wonder why it is that black Americans are always saying this, that, and the third. I'm doing a response. He decided to come out the side of, he could have been talking about his own people. He could have been talking about his own bloodline. He could have been talking about his culture, religion, traditions, but I guess he's embarrassed by that. So that's why he doesn't want to list it. I guess he's embarrassed by his home, by his natives. That's why he don't want to bring it up. That's why he don't want to talk about it. So he would rather cosplay and act like he's a part of a different community in order to get something off versus actually looking at himself and his own people. It's crazy how a lot of these people that want to run from their own homes, from their own communities, from their own countries, always want to come directly over here to America and run their mouths about black Americans. Shouldn't you be worried about fixing home? Shouldn't you be worried about fixing, your grandmother's house, your parents' house? Shouldn't you be worried about actually saving them? Shouldn't you be worried about injecting that American money into your impoverished, poor country? Shouldn't you be worried about doing that? But yet you're not, because you know that you don't even care, just like nobody else around the world actually cares. That's why you're here. But anyways, let's continue. Let's just continue.
Nothing wrong with weed, right? But to smell like it every day is crazy. I'm happy to be a married man. So happy I travel outside this country. I'm happy to be a responsible, mature, critical thinking individual.
Oh, like I told people before, if you don't basically add or say what it is that you're responding to, I'm going to clear cut respond directly to you as if you said something to me. So this person would have said, bro, you're just racist. Black man, that's it. The craziest part is no matter what context that you can actually use and how well you try to explain certain things, this is the type of stuff that people want to sit up here and say. They can't really dissect, they can't go bar for bar, word for word on what specifically is racist. So in their low level thinking, they're like, you're just racist. That's some crazy work. That's diabolical in nature. But like I said, it'd be like that though. It'd be like that. So again, and the other craziest thing is, if I'm so racist, why would you want to leave a comment to a racist in order to get a reaction, right? In order to get a response. Again, that's a teaching attention seeking, right? That's a little bit weird. Why would you want attention from what you would perceive to be a racist? That's weird. But anyways, I got you. For your attention directly to the shadow realm, directly with you, to never be seen or heard from ever again. It'd be like that, right? But let's continue.
It's insane to me that there's men my age who can't stay out of jail, that glorify gangster hood gang culture, basically, right? Immature behavior, basically. I'm happy I'm not that person, but the opposite. A mature, responsible, critical thinking individual. In 2025,
So let me just rewind that real quick. I just want a lot of people to know that there are a lot of very productive, wonderful, great, um, positive black men directly in the black community. And it's crazy to me that he wants to make it seem as though that he is like this Eiffel Tower, that he just stands alone amongst the many directly out here, as if it's like one versus 100, when he could have easily just showcased a variety of other black men that are literally doing this. But he didn't want to, because again, he's trying to feed into a certain type of narrative that there are only there's like one out of all of the black community, he's a part of that 1%, when really he's not even a part of this black American community. But he wants to make it seem as though to white people that, oh, I'm a part of this 1%, like me, love me, hand me money, pay me now, feed me, right? That's pretty much what he's doing at this moment in time. And whenever I've noticed, especially on X, aka Twitter, whenever you got these types doing this, white people will clap it up. They will clamor. They will like, yeah, brother, I'll buy you a beer. Yeah, that's right. I don't see color either. We're all human beings. We're Americans. We're this, we're that. But I know pretty much a lot of those people that agree directly with that guy, they don't specifically want that guy directly, or those guys in their communities dating their daughters. Like I said, it's a difference. It's a difference between them agreeing with you and liking you from afar versus loving you up close and actually, having endearing words, shaking your hand, being around you, not wanting to utter racist talking points or words because they got respect for you. Like I said, it's a vast, clear cut difference, but these types don't care. They'll just ignore, and they'll be like, that's just a small minority. Those people, they pretty much barely don't even exist. So we're just actually talking about invisible folks. All the rest of them are great. All the rest of them are great. How do you know all the rest? Who do you know? But like I said, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. And as Malcolm said, that's just something that don't need to be stated, and that's facts. Because for a lot of black American men, every single day walk directly in action. They ain't sitting up there talking. They not running their mouth talking about, oh, I do this, I do that, da da da. Nah, there's no reason to do it. You work within your actions. That's exactly what you do. And people will pay attention to your actions, and they will speak directly about your actions for you. You don't have to speak for yourself. But like I said, obviously he must not be doing enough, because he has to sit up there and toot his own horn a multitude of times in front of white folks. I wonder why. But anyways, let's continue.
gang culture, basically, right? Immature behavior, basically. I'm happy I'm not that
Let me just speed past this. Okay, let me go right there.
responsible, critical thinking individual. In 2025, the Texas flood has officially confirmed to the world that most black Americans are indeed racist.
I love this. So again, for anybody who don't like to pause, I don't know what to tell you. This is just how it's working. So let me just rehash what took place for the Texas flood. I think that was like somewhere in July or whatnot or whatever. So inevitably, because of lack or mismanagement, right? The government there failed the system, which is the people, and people ended up perishing. Losing lives, things were destroyed and whatnot or whatever. he wants to try to levy the argument that black people are racist because they said that they don't care or whatnot or whatever, right? This is just me paraphrasing. I didn't even watch the whole video. I'm just going to go off of everything that I've been able to listen to him so far. He's going to try to levy that argument because black people don't want to, give any type of empathy or sympathy. But mind you, I want people to understand, especially to the white folks directly out there. I want you to be able to very much acknowledge this, right? If you go back farther enough, I think over 300 people perished during this exact same flood 30 years ago. And I'm talking about back during 1987, around the exact same month, or roughly around the exact same month, the exact same flood happened. So how is this is what it looks like? This is why I sat up there and said that I can't really feel sorry about anything, because I'm like, yo, at the end of the day, history repeated itself because you refuse to acknowledge and pay attention and learn from what already happened. If a flood happened back in 1987 during the exact same month, what makes you think that the same thing is not going to sit up there and happen some years from now, some decades from now? What makes you think if you lost 300 lives now, that if the same thing happened, that you weren't going to sit up there and still end up losing lives? What made you think that if you had the exact same government structure that you had then, that the exact same government structure is going to basically save it? Huh? And then people are sitting up there looking for black Americans to have some type of sympathy and empathy. Where was the sympathy and empathy when Katrina happened? Huh? Where was the sympathy and empathy for the black folks in Katrina? And I did a live stream going over that. We have folks directly on there talking about what they did specifically in the black community, where it was 4 of them in a truck with weapons, and they were going through black communities, just aiming at anything that moved, taking it out. Somebody who worked directly in government talking about 100 bodies of black folks there with a certain type of wound, and it was only one entry wound that was there. Didn't sit up there and dispense bullets, just one wound. Like I said before, it's crazy how people want to get sympathy and empathy from black Americans, but yet even of the most recent of times, you don't see that sympathy. You don't see that type of empathy. You don't see that type of caring, but yet people want, for whatever reason, black folks to give that exact same thing back. And again, I'm not even going back 50 years, right? I'm not even going back 60 to 100 years. This is recent times. Katrina, what was that, 2005? Pretty much a lot of people that are watching this channel, y'all was alive back then. Y'all was able to see it, especially y'all white folks. And I know how y'all was talking. I remember how y'all was talking. I remember how your newscasters, news anchors, reporters were sitting up there talking. Political officials, representatives. I remember how all of them were sitting up there talking and running their mouths. It was like, oh, look at all of the looters. Look at the black looters. Look at the blacks doing this. The blacks doing this. The black staff. That's all y'all was doing. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, y'all realize that this is a situation. Like, it even got to the point where you could see the discrepancies in the media. Where in one instance, if you had a young black guy that went to a store, everything is flooded, right? Everything is pretty much abandoned. He went to a store. Hey, his family is still there. They need some food. He left out with a bag that might have had some bread, some chips, or whatnot, or whatever. He didn't have money because there's no use in even having money. Everything is flooded. You can't do nothing with it. You need food, right? He left out with that, and people wanted to call him a looter. But then when you showed a white woman with her white husband going to the store to do the exact same thing, it's magically this family's just trying to survive and get food. Huh? Like I said, y'all do this all day long. Y'all play these games all day long, but then y'all come around after doing these games, after playing these games, y'all expect when something specifically happens to you and hits your front door, now you want black Americans to sit up there and have some sympathy and empathy. Now you want that type of energy. Nah, no. But like I said, people like this will sit up there and be like, well, you're just racist. You're just doing that because they're white. No, I'm doing that because of their actions. I'm doing that because of history. I'm doing that because of the provenness of how often this happens. It's not like it's a delay. It's not like it's every once in a while. It's consistent. And I'm talking about historically consistent. But, I guess like people like to sit up there and say, I'm just a racist, right? I'm just a race baiter, right? But let's continue.
Yes. See, gone are the days of this idea where people believe that black Americans cannot be racist. It's not possible. BS. Complete and total nonsense. Here's the reality. Most black Americans hate so-called white Americans. And to prove what I'm saying, all you have to do is go on TikTok, type inside the search bar this devil's name, pronounced Sade, spelled S-A-D-E. Type in that name inside the search bar, read any of the comments in this person's videos, and witness the amount of hatred this person and her followers have for so-called white Americans. They hate them so much where these people are cheering, celebrating, clapping, posting happy emojis that their children who were washed away in the flood, they're happy about that. They're happy that children lost their lives. We're talking 8-year-old babies. They are happy that children lost their lives. This is evil. This is racist. But like I said,
I don't even know who the content creator is. The only Sade that I know is a singer from like the 90s, Smooth Operator. That's pretty much all I know at this moment in time. Again, I don't know the content creator he's talking about. What I can sit up there and tell you is if any time that people are seeing any type of contents or comments directly from Black Americans referencing this and it's coming off a certain type of way, it's the exact same energy that has been given over decades upon decades upon decades upon decades upon decades, dealing with the United States and the people who are clearly here. It's funny how people never want to try to make a connection into why would Black Americans have a response such as this about an incident affecting a group of people, and look at it from a historical context or even from documented history such as news. You don't have to, like I said, you don't have to go back that far. You can go back to any engagement that police have had with Black people and look at how white people speak. Even on my own platform, white people will come directly through. Oh, you guys deserve it. Stop resisting. This. If you guys weren't such gangsters, drugs dealers, if you guys weren't such pimps, if you guys weren't such criminals, this, that, and that. Like they do everything in order to give a reason as to why it is that the police can take the lives of Black men and Black people every single day in the United States, and they enjoy it. They have a type of jubilation directly about it. They're ecstatic, in a sense about it. But like I said, it is what it is. And I commonly state, just like when it deals with a lot of these Africans and so on and so on directly out here that want to speak on Black Americans, we are simply giving a response to the types of forms of disrespect that we have received over these many of decades. Clear cut. Clear cut. But let's continue. Oh, Sonny said he's triggered by a Black woman. I bet you he is, because he let me just go back to the previous picture. We all know that he would never date somebody that looks like him. We all know that he would never date somebody that looks like his mother. So, but and again, he's not Black American. Like he said, he was raised on Haitian music. I ain't never been raised on Haitian music. I don't know nothing about Haitian music. And I worked with Haitians. Don't know nothing. I've never sat up there and been with anybody that I know to do some type of drink testing of Haitian / Caribbean drinks. I don't even know how to make those or mix those. I don't know anything about those. The only thing that I could probably give you is probably a type of cola or soda drink that they may have. Soda, pop. I like to say pop because I'm from the Midwest, but everybody else is different. But it is what it is. I've never done any of those things at all. So again, I know that he's not Black American because this is not things that normal Black American men do. Right? We don't be mixing drinks from other worlds. That's not what we do. But anyways, let's just continue.
confirmation, pure confirmation, that some or most Black Americans in 2025 are indeed racist. In 2025, so-called Black privilege is way stronger than so-called white privilege.
Somebody, what is Black privilege? I'm like, for the life of me, I'm just trying to sit up there and figure out, because I don't know. But I'm going to tell you this. He's going to basically levy. Matter of fact, let me let him basically put this stupid argument directly out there, and then I'm gonna pause it.
Let me explain. See, Black Americans are the only people I know in this country, the U.S., that can literally walk up to anybody and call that person the N-word, and nothing happens to that person. Nothing happens to that so-called Black American for saying the N-word. No consequences, no punishment, Zero. No one else can do that besides the black American, literally.
So okay. So he said nobody else can use the N word, right? When I look at rap directly out here, what was that? What was that dude's name? Ginger Lee, right? He was a white boy, right? Ginger. He was a white boy that was sitting up there saying like, "Yo, I'm going to use the N word, and can't nobody sit up there and stop me. What they going to sit up there and do about it? Can't nobody control them off." And that was a white boy sitting up there saying that directly on a podcast, standing directly on that. You got a lot of Mexicans out here saying the N word left and right. I done seen Filipinos, Asians referring to themselves as the N word. I done watched for the white folks directly out here because this is how stupid this clown is, because he wants to skew the view and the narrative. If you look up white fights where you got the younger white folks out here sitting up there fighting, I done heard white girls call other white girls the N word. I done heard other white dudes, drunk or not, fighting other white dudes, calling them the N word. Yo, what's up, my? What's up? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? I'm like, what? I'm looking. I'm sitting up there searching for anybody that is black to reference this, but I'm like, is anybody black here? And I'm like, this is an all white pool party. I'm like, who? I'm like, this is the dumbest thing that I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, for a group of people that get mad about other people saying it, y'all the main ones sitting up there saying it amongst yourselves, like we've always been saying it, like we've always been known. Like y'all want to copy whatever it is that we're sitting up there doing because we've made it cool. We've made it okay to sit up there and do. Now, after all of the time y'all been trying to use this as hate, as a type of word to derogatory terminology, to in a sense downplay, and to go directly at and to rebrand black folks, the moment in time that we happen to flip a switch and we put that Midas touch directly on it, y'all like, we done lost the power on that, no problem, but we can still use it again, right? We created it. We can still use it again, right? We're still in this, right? We're still all friends. We didn't really mean it, in that racist term before, because we what's up, my ninja? We all here, right? We're all brothers. This dude is such a clown, and it's crazy to know the fact that white people in America are eating up content like this. You see how he's trying to give like this stoic type of stare, and he's the only person in that parking structure. Like he's just vastly thinking, trying to quantify the universe and trying to think about a cure, conjure a cure for cancer. This is white people. These are the type of people that y'all listen to. Oh my god! But let's continue. Let's continue.
Black Americans are the only people I know that can broadcast to the entire world that their business is black owned. And no one has a problem with that. No consequences, no punishment, nothing happens to that so called black American for just broadcasting my business is black owned. No one else can do that besides the black American.
So let me get this straight. So, okay. So the reason that black people want to let other black people know that it's a black business is so that those black dollars they know that, okay, so a black family or a black person, black American, right, created this business. Cool. So it's within the community. Cool, or whatnot or whatever. So we know that our money is going to go directly towards a black family and help, push them upwards in the economy, in this society. It's going to make them better. And then it's going to also be leveraged and enable their kids and their family to potentially start up their own business or put them in the best schools possible or all this other type of stuff. It's about trying to elevate our own people, support our own people, because we know that everybody is not going to sit up there and support a black business. These are facts. These are facts. Everybody's not going to sit up there and support a black business, right? When you think about black women doing nails, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. When you think about black American women doing nails and doing hair, where are the women from where are all of these Asian women at? Where are all of these African women at? Where are all of these Latin women at? Where are all of these white women at to come there to get their hair done by all of these, brilliant black American women in the community to get their nails done? Barely any, unless they actually live in a community. Other than that, they're not coming from the suburbs to come down to whatnot or whatever to get all of their stuff done. They're not doing that. Like I said, we specifically state this for a variety of reasons. And again, it also has to do with the history of the United States, something of which he knows nothing about, something of which he is not even from, something of which he has no lineage or blood directly in. So, like I said, it's easy for this immigrant here to come on social media and talk with a clean slate. Clean slate basically meaning that he has no skin in the game. He has not had any sacrifices. His grandparents didn't have to make any sacrifices, right? There's no blood, sweat, tears. There's no bodies on the ground in order for him to be who it is that he is, right? None of that happened by way of my parents, by way of my grandparents, by way of my grandparents, and so on 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 and so on. In the United States, they are the exact reason as to why it is that I'm able to do everything that I'm able to do at this moment in time. Like I said, it's a case in point. It's two different things. So this is what it looks like when you hear these immigrants out here talking, masquerading and cosplaying as Black Americans. This is exactly what this looks like. And listening to these white talking points. Let's continue.
Literally. Black Americans are the only people I know that are receiving grants or some type of funding just for being so-called black. Yes, you receive free grants and some type of funding, maybe for your education or maybe to start a small business, just for being black. No other so-called race has that privilege but Black Americans.
This is how dumb you. I want. Oh my dear God. Oh my God. The ignorance is astonishing. I did a video about probably 4 years ago over, and it dealt with grants, and I showed off grants that white people can get. I showed off grants that immigrants is pretty much covering everybody. So if you are a Black American and you're not an immigrant, you're not touching that money, right? So he's talking about, oh, Black Americans are the only race that can get these types of grants because they're Black. They got grants out there for Native Americans. They got grants out there for Jewish folks. Like this, bro, white people. This is how low y'all falling. Where you guys are literally egging this type of stuff on, and y'all funding the pockets for clowns like this, and y'all are allowing them to spew some type of talking points in reference to how it is that y'all speak. This is what y'all pay for. Y'all pay for this type of ignorance. Anybody with a smartphone, a supercomputer directly in their hands, which I know everybody has, could look up information on who can receive grants, the different types of races and peoples directly out here. This is the most insane ignorance. I'm literally baffled by this nonsense at this moment in time. I'm literally baffled. Like what are we even talking about at this moment in time? I want y'all to also acknowledge that he's not going to talk about the people who received land and reparations, which are Native Americans, right? Quote unquote, Siberian Asians. He's not going to mention how it is that they're the only people that receive the type of reparations or monies. He's not going to try to leverage that. He ain't going to try to bring them up, right? He ain't going to try to talk about the other groups as well either, who have received monies from the United States or received a form of reparations or land or whatnot. Or what. He ain't gonna do that. He'll make sure to specifically talk about one designated group because, again, he's trying to market his content for a specific demographic that is not Hispanic, that is not Asian, that is not African, that is not Black American, that's not nothing else but either white American or European because he knows what sells. Anyways, let's continue.
Just for being so-called black. Black Americans are the only people I know that can scream to the top of their lungs, Black power, I'm black and I'm proud, Black Lives Matter. No one will have a problem with them saying this. No one. No punishment, no consequences for saying such a thing. No other so-called race can do that but the Black American.
So I want everybody to understand that he is, for some odd reason, he's trying to really demonize and criminalize. He's like, there's no type of punishment, there's no type of reprimand for Black people saying that I'm black and I'm proud and Black power and this. Like, what do you want to happen? Do you want those people to get jailed? Do you want them to get put directly in prison? And then of course he went with the same. This is how I know that he watches a lot of like true American content. He brought up Black Lives Matter. for whatever reason, we're in 2025 and people still bring this up. Like this is how stale a lot of these talking points are. And this also shows you the lack of creativity when you have people like this talking. They can't actually invent or talk about anything new. They can't talk about anything recent. They have to only highlight and talk about something from a certain time period of which people pretty much aren't even focused on. Nobody's even looking at or talking about the whole thing of Black Lives Matter. Nobody's talking about the organization. There's only one grouping, one demographic that keeps bringing it up every single time. And then you have their henchmen, their goons that come directly up here and want to do the exact same thing, doing these exact same talking points. Again, that makes no sense. That's vastly crazy to me. But like I said, what type of stuff are you specifically looking for? Right? He has such a hard on trying to demonize and brand Black Americans as being racist. Like he's trying to do everything possible. He's going through no stone unturned. I'm going to talk about a variety of history. I'm going to do this, that, and the third. But he doesn't even want to give any historical, you know, type of line, any type of connection to say why it is that X, Y, and Z is happening. He just wants to say, like, oh, Black people are doing this, but why is it wrong if white people do it? That is a intellectually dishonest conversation, just to be honest. And people who fall for this, you very much show where it is that your IQ, your intelligence, your knowledge base starts and stops. And it's not far. But like I said, it'd be like that. Let's continue.
Black power, Black Lives Matter. I'm black and I'm proud. Black Americans are the only people I know that can say, I love to be with my people, my culture. I love my people. No other so-called race can say or do such a thing because you'll call them a racist. But Black Americans can do that freely, literally. Let's not even talk about.
So wait. No other culture can sit up. I done seen Mexicans all day long on TikTok. Viva la Mexico, Viva la Raza. I done seen people sit up and say that they love their culture, love their heritage. What are we talking about? There's Africans, there's Caribbeans, there's Haitians, Jamaicans, there's people from India who are like, yo, what are we talking about here? There are people from all over the world that say that they are proud of their culture, their heritage, their traditions. But he's like, oh no, only Black Americans can sit up there and do that. If anybody else does it, they're racist. What? Like I said, this is the type of rhetoric that y'all like to sit up there and listen to. White folks, what y'all doing? Y'all letting this clown basically represent and speak directly for you. You're letting him do all of these talking points of which y'all would normally, in a sense, tend to sit up there and do. So y'all got so weak to the point in the United States that you got to have, quote unquote, a melanated representative in order to guard dog, body block, and speak directly for you because you're in fear of what? Losing your jobs? You're in fear of what? Being deemed and seen directly as racist, seen as prejudiced, seen as having some type of pride. I'm a little bit confused. Like I said, all of this, everything that he is doing in a sense for white people, this screams weak directly to me. Before any of this happening, that was nowhere even in my mainframe. I was not even thinking that at all. I'm like, oh, look at everything that white Americans set up there and make. The walls in my room right now are white. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Everywhere. And everything reminds me of the accomplishments of white folks directly out here. Look at that. But now all of that is dimmed completely down because you got people like this speaking directly for you. I've never known the white race to need another community, group of people, another representative, or anybody else to specifically speak for or on their behalf in order to get out any narrative that they themselves believe and want to push or put out. Isn't that what y'all got mainstream media for? Which is pretty much white, right? Because y'all own the networks and all that other type of stuff. Y'all got your own news anchors and representatives, and like I said, this is weird to me. That's 100% weird to me. But now he's trying to levy the argument that black people are racist because they're the only ones that can say that they're proud of their culture. Okay, you got it.
Section 8. Let's not talk about food stamps. Let's not
Section
talk
8
about
food
families being
stamps.
on food stamps or Section 8 for generations upon generations. This is black privilege. We can do whatever the hell we want and no one
See
else
how he
can. And
wanted to do we
for some stupid
out of
reason,
all of these
people
arguments?
think white privilege is a way stronger thing than black privilege in 2025. You are delusional.
Dear God, I don't know what I don't know what he went through. I don't know what was going on. Yeah, he is a tether. This is like I said, this push that he is trying to do to that, and the craziest part is I could have made this whole segment probably about an hour or two long, just with the videos that he was putting up there, all about Black Americans. Like that is how crazy it is. Like this is like a stalker type of mentality. Like the energy that he has here, he will never have for his own people because his own people will call him out. His own people will come directly at him real quick, and especially knowing the fact that he himself decided to not date a woman of his culture or somebody that is representative of his mother. Just saying. Just saying. I'm just looking at the image, I'm listening to the words, and I'm looking at the picture. And I can put everything together and understand and realize the type of person that he is. That's some crazy work. And this is some of the same people where people want to talk about passport bros. You got a lot of dudes like this, they ain't even Black American. You got a lot of dudes that's just like this that be quote unquote passport bros. They not even Black American, but because of how they look and people not trying to look in and try to figure out, people just like, oh, that's a Black man from America that decided to go to and from in all these countries. Nah, no, no, no. A lot of these dudes be masquerading. Like I said, he specifically stated in a variety of words that he is not Black American. But then at the same time, he wanted to come through. He was like, yeah, we, a lot of us. It ain't no we. It's not a lot of us because you're not of us. You're not from us. You've even, to the point, you've never even been about us at all. Like I said, I looked through his content. Ain't never been about Black Americans. But let's continue.
Seem to be behind Black Americans with regards to how they perceive America. We had that same optimism 50 years ago. Like, it seems like they still think that the American dream is real.
So, how do you explain the fact that we come here with basically nothing and within 4 to 5 years we start making six figures? Do you have any idea how much money flows in this country? Do you have any idea? Hmm?
So this, I want y'all to understand that this is clear cut and African having a conversation about Black Americans in America, telling slash asking us, do we know how much money is in this country? I want y'all to pay attention to the fact that a lot of these Africans can never have this conversation when it deals with home of which they fled, of which they once led and lived in. They tend to always run. They tend to always flee. They'll leave their whole family and children directly behind in order to get a better life directly in America. Because shout out to Nigeria. You and India are technically the world leaders when it deals with defecation. Nigeria, you are one of the world leaders. Nigeria and Jamaica, y'all are hand in hand when it deals with the paternity rates, when it deals with fathers, because there's a lot of lies. There's a lot of men out there, especially in Jamaica. I think it was somewhere around 25 to about almost 31% of men are raising kids that are not even theirs. So, like I said, it's crazy to me that these other men that are melanated want to come directly to America and they want to start talking real crazy, real greasy. Over there in Jamaica, y'all got China pretty much almost running y'all at this moment in time. Y'all can't even do beachfronts realistically. Y'all grew up there, right? Y'all waters, ports are owned by China. What are we talking about? For the Africans up there, especially on the West Coast, you guys are selling off beachfront, y'all selling off water, y'all selling off land, all to the highest bidder in China. What are we talking about? Do you know how much money? Do you know how much Africa just as a continent itself is worth? Do you know it's unfathomable? You can't even quantify the amount of money realistically. So it's like I said before, it's incredible when these Africans want to act as though that they're teaching Black Americans anything, right? But let's keep going.
There's money in places where you won't even expect to find money at. This country got money, okay? What you mean we are 50 years behind? We are not the ones out here boycotting people's businesses.
So this is when I know that he's from a different country and he can't pay attention. She basically stated that the type of ideals of the American dream, we had that 50 years ago. So we were already on that type of time before you even got here. And he took that, he was like, "What do you mean that we're 50 years behind?" She's basically stating that you believe in the American dream as they give it directly to you. The American dream does not exist. The only way that you can dream is if you're asleep. This clown is obviously still asleep. He thinks that everything that is going on now is going on because they're just doing it. No, it's because the United States allows you as an immigrant to come over here and make money. Because y'all weren't here, like I said, 50, 60, 80, 90, whatever. Y'all wasn't here. Y'all wasn't talking about, oh, we're the doctors out here, we're the businesses, we're this. If it was so lucrative for y'all to come over here and make money, y'all would have been did it. Y'all wouldn't have waited up until the recent times, the recent technological times, to sit up there and do it and to quote unquote establish yourselves. And also for the Africans out there who like to talk the loudest, if y'all were actually so brilliant and bright, intellectually intelligent and knowledgeable, you would have actually established and built up your own countries. You would have actually made your own Wakanda. You would basically be working on free energy. You would, in a sense, for all intents and purposes, the whole continent would be, or at least half of it would be free energy, right? You wouldn't have to sit up there and worry about Europe or anybody else coming there. You would be your own superpower, your own first free world, but you're not. You can't even free yourselves from yourselves. So what are we specifically talking about? You treat your continent, you treat your land as a graveyard. You will go everywhere else to build and to invest and to be great and to show your intelligence and all this other type of stuff and to leave your legacy. But when it's time to die, you will make sure to send your body back. We don't do that. But let's keep going.
I'm trying to understand how someone who's ahead is boycotting someone who's behind. You see that? Too much ego makes you say anything. You're not even making any sense. You're just yapping. There's money in this country. If you don't know how to make money, come talk to us.
See, and as I want y'all to understand what it looks like when somebody wants to try and give a narrative and they want to portray it and paint it, they want to project, right? So he wanted to say that, oh, Black Americans, y'all talk too much, y'all got too much ego, this is what it looks like. But then he basically said himself as a foreigner, if Black Americans, if you want to learn how to make money and where to find it, come to us Africans. We can show you and teach you. You can't show and teach us nothing. We've been here longer than you. We've been way more established. We done been to all of these colleges. Any jobs that y'all are currently doing at this moment in time as Africans, we have been there. Or we helped fund it and create that with our inventions. Like, what are we even talking about at this moment in time? Like the audacity and the gall of a lot of you Africans pulling up to the scene, wanting to specifically speak on Black Americans while more than likely being in America. This is what we be talking about. Y'all don't know how to just shut up and wipe off y'all shoes and take them off and just sit comfortably. Y'all don't know how to do that. Y'all got to just sit up there and try to go to and from and do all of this other type of nonsense. This is why we say the things that we say about y'all online, because y'all just don't know. Y'all just don't understand. White people got y'all hyped up way too much. But yet at the same time, you can't even hype up your own continent. You can't even hype up your own group. You can't even save them. That's why you run. That's why you flee. You will go to Sweden. You will go to Poland. You will go to Australia. You will go to Germany. You will go to Russia. You will go to Hungary. You will go to the UK. You will go to the Netherlands. You will go to Japan, Fiji, China. You will go everywhere else but home. Everywhere else but home. This is why when we look at the Olympics, you are very great runners. You are very great when it deals with long distance because that's all you know how to do. You don't know how to fix a damn thing. But Let's continue.
We're going to tell you how to make some money. America is the best country in the world. The only problem with this country is the government. It's the people in the government. These people are the problem. The American people, wonderful people, except, a few. But the American people in general are wonderful people. The only bad thing about this country is the government. There is money in this country. The reason why you ain't got no money is because you ain't got no good relationships with people. You don't have the skill to network, to be nice, to create alliances with people that can put money in your pocket. All you do is create problems. That's why you ain't got no money.
So let me just explain what he just told everybody, just in case y'all don't understand. What this African is sitting up here saying is that they don't care about racism or how it is that they get treated, how it is that they're deemed. They're just going to solely focus on the money. This is not the first time that I've covered this before. This is not the first time that I've covered the Africans and many others saying that, oh, we just ignore how people look at us, deem us, and treat us, and we just focus solely on them. What they're saying is they're willing to sacrifice dignity, respect, and everything else in order to get money at the end of the day. And because Black Americans are not willing to do that, aka they cause problems, aka we stand up for ourselves, we speak for ourselves, we're going to represent ourselves, and especially in places where there are not many of us, and we're going to make sure to tell people how to deem and treat us. That's the reason that we can't formulate bonds, and why it is that we're, quote unquote, in his words, broke, don't have anything. Again, this is a African that is specifically speaking about Black Americans. These are the exact same people that could never get any type of light, any type of shine when they talk about their own people, because they don't have a Midas touch. They don't know what that's like. They can only get any type of flame, any type of vibe, any type of motion by mentioning us in even the utterance of saying Black Americans, that vibration coming from their mouths. That's the only way that they can even get any type of attention and energy directly looking at them. Let's keep going.
Hear somebody say that Black Americans have no culture. I think
Right. So let me just highlight that, right? So her main point, the video he's responded to, this is why he got this dumbass look on his face in the background. So this is going into the cultural war aspect, where a lot of these Africans and many others say that Black Americans, we don't have no culture. We don't move, we don't shape, we don't do nothing. Everybody else basically created. You pretty much almost at this time got Africans trying to claim hip hop and rap, which is crazy to me. Because when we were creating this, people were sitting up there just doing a whole bunch of other stuff. And it wasn't this, right? So the first picture that she wanted to point out is this plate here, right? It's a soul food plate. I'm trying to zoom this in. Let me see if I can zoom this in. Can I do it? Well, let me do it. Ah, let me zoom in. Let me see. Hold on.
You're the reason why people keep on asking this question because you don't even know how to answer.
Okay, there we go. So I had to zoom that in for myself. Let me just try to pull that back. Right. So for me, it minimized. So for me, it looks like a standard issue plate. I think I'm seeing some maybe some yams directly up there. I'm seeing something green up there. Might be some okra, might be some macaroni and cheese. Might be maybe some beans and maybe some turkey meat or something like that directly on the side. Right. Basically a holiday, it's a soul food plate, just in case anybody don't know. There's a difference between you know, plates for everybody else's home and soul food. It's a clear-cut, complete difference, right? And then on the other side, she also stated this right here, which was let me hold on, I gotta go back. Right. And she showed this image, which is LL Cool J with a boombox, right? Which is basically referencing the 80s, which is referencing, in a sense, the time and frame, the birth of hip hop, all of the Black Americans that were a part of that, that created that helped that flourish, that nurtured that from its infancy, into, what it is now, the foundation, the building blocks, the cornerstone, right? Directly of that, right? So she listed at least two things that are both a part of our culture and, in a sense, tradition and everything of the sort. Let's listen to his response.
You're the reason why people keep on asking this question, because you don't even know how to answer this question. When asked, what is Black American culture? You need to actually show Black American culture, like they do in Louisiana, for example. They have actual Black American culture. But you coming out here showing a plate of food and some dude with a radio. What does that have to
Hold on, wait. Because I saw a Gale at the last minute. So this person said, "You're so hateful. Your hate for Africans is really xenophobia." What fear, realistically, phobia wise, what fear do I have of Africans? Let me know. What fear? Because I'm not sure if my moderators might have just packed you up. If they did, it'd be like that. For any other Africans that's sitting directly in the background, what fear do I have? Because she's speaking directly to me. What fear do I specifically have of Africans? Because never at a moment in time have I ever had a quote unquote dislike or whatnot or whatever for other groups directly out here. Never had that, right? Now, again, the craziest part is, and this is what I want a lot of Black Americans to understand, I want other people to understand. Whenever it is that Black Americans give a response and we stand up directly for ourselves, other people feed into that and look at it as hate. They brand it, right? They try to demonize it because for oh so long we've allowed people to we just roll with the punches for Black America. We just roll with the punches like, hey, okay, people just don't understand. That's the few. It's not the many over there in Africa. This, that, and the third. It's the few. It's not the many directly over there in the islands. It's the few. It's not the many directly over there that's Mexican and Latino, Hispanic. It's the few. It's not the many that's over there. Right? We've been rolling with the punches when it deals with all of these other groups directly out here. And now when it deals with Black Americans, when it deals with us, we're like, nah, we're not doing this no more. We're going to sit up there and draw the line where we should have drawn it a long time ago because this has been going on for far too long. So it's crazy to me to always sit up there and see a lot of Africans and many others pull directly up to the scene and talk about, Black Americans, you guys are xenophobic, you guys are fearful of us, you guys don't like us, and we're of you. For the longest time possible, Black Americans have always come out here and say, I'm talking about for decades before I was even born. You got Black folks out here talking about, Africa is the motherland. We love Africa. We want to make a connection. This, that, and the third, and all these other types of things. And then we learned and we found out over time, especially thanks to social media and the current climate that we're in, that a lot of y'all refer to us as a cutter. And then as soon as we caught up to what that term means and we identified it and called y'all out, y'all got y'all Africans out here on TikTok talking about, oh no, Okada doesn't mean that. It's just a generalized type of word. It don't even just really, specifically mean that. This, that, and y'all really tried to make some type of excuse instead of acknowledging and just apologizing and saying that y'all was wrong. Y'all can't even sit up there and admit that y'all wrong. This is why, for a lot of Africans out there, when y'all go all over the world, this is why people are putting y'all out of their country. And I'm going to get direct. Matter of fact, let me just sit up there and read off this, right? Because I want to leave this up there because this woman want to talk about that I got a hate for Africans, right? Let me show you something real quick, and I'm going to cover this in a standalone video, right? So let's just break this because I want to hear you say that the Japanese hate you too. Since we're going to go that far, I want to hear you say that the Japanese are xenophobic against Africans. I want to hear y'all sit up there and leverage that because this is how stupid and foolish that y'all like to sit up there and do because y'all think that y'all can get over on a lot of people once people start sitting up there doing something nice. So it says after confusion, Nigeria deletes special Japanese visa claims. They said Nigerian authorities have deleted an erroneous statement about Japan issuing special visas for Nigerians. A misinterpretation that fueled false claims on social media that Tokyo was opening its doors wide open for African immigrants. Japanese foreign ministries confirmed the removal on August 26 following formal discussion with the Nigerian government. The bogus visa claim was part of a flood of misinformation about cultural and international friendship projects organizations by the Japanese International Corporate Agencies, or the JICA. The JICA recently designated four Japanese municipalities as symbolic JICA African hometowns for African governments, municipalities. I had to go back and repronounce it. The announcement pairs are, what is that? Mbari in Imi Prefecture. I'm probably butchering that. for with Mozambique, Kazaruzu in the Chiba prefecture in with Niger, Sanjo in the Nagata prefecture in Ghana, in Naga in Yamagata prefecture with Tanzania. So they had the mistranslations about the program spread on X and other social media platforms, and the JICA program was wrongly criticized as allowing a flood of African immigrants to enter Japan. Right? I want y'all to understand that just because I've seen a lot of other videos and stuff like that on social media, I want y'all to realize that just because people do something nice doesn't mean that it's a green light. Like I said, you are over there in Europe, right? As soon as they allow a few directly over there, it's an influx and it's a flood. And it's not like it's the best of your country coming directly over there. You're doing the exact same thing that the Europeans did when quote unquote America was first founded. Europe drained out their prisons and their jails and sent their worst out there to voyage because they thought that they were going to die at sea, not knowing and understanding that, oh, they were actually going to end up in a whole nother land and they were going to, actually create something. Oops. Y'all doing the exact same thing in Africa because y'all got, hundreds of millions of people directly over there. So now y'all want to sit up there and pull up to the scene in a variety of different countries once you think that it's a green light. And now you got a lot of other countries, they're saying no to visas and they're trying to pack you up and they're trying to send you directly back from once you came because y'all want to sit up here and run. Y'all want to sit up there and do all of this other type of stuff. Like, that's crazy to me. That's diabolical in nature. And I promise you, you have people out there scamming and trying to figure out some ways to get over there to Japan real quick. So, oh, they got some African towns directly named after us. Let me go pick up my visa. Let me go pack my bags real quick. I'm going to Japan. So instead of you trying to figure out a way to go to China, like a lot of y'all do, you're like, let me sit up there and make this stop to Japan. Crazy work, diabolical in nature. But anyways, what was that video? Let's continue.
With anything. Let's go with the plate. On your plate, you have color greens. Africans also have color greens. It is cooked the exact same way. In Congo, for example, we call it ndunda. Same thing. And on top of that, you have the audacity to show mac and cheese. Mac and cheese. Two of the most European creations ever. I remember one time I saw a guy who said, oh, mac and cheese is in Black American creation. Listen. Y'all need to be serious. Okay, when you start talking about things like this, you need to be serious. This is why people look at you funny because you're saying things that don't make sense. A guy said mac and cheese is a Black American creation. He said some dude named Hemming, I think Hemming, created it. No, he did not create it. Maybe he helped popularize it. I don't know, but he did not create it. Mac and cheese. Listen, cheese is probably one of the most French thing that you will find out here. Cheese. And don't even get me started on mac. That's literally short for macaroni. That's an Italian word, okay?
Like, this is how stupid this argument is. Like, she showed off a plate of soul food. It don't matter if y'all got the foods directly over there in Africa and y'all may cook them. Y'all don't cook them and present them the way that we present them, nor do you have the history with those foods. When y'all cook food, y'all just cook food. Like, y'all be cooking goat head and just putting rice directly on it. Y'all be sitting up there cooking rotins on directly on sticks. I got videos of this stuff. So it's like, yo, like the critiquing of like food and what it is that people want to say that represents like their culture and everything like that. You want to question that. You want to try to dissect that. Let's not do that. Please, let's not do that. Let's not do that because no Black American here uses cow urine in order to dye their hair. Let's not do this. Please, let's not do this. Black Americans are not out here in droves. I'm talking about in the tens of millions or hundreds of millions. We're not out there defecating in the streets. We're not doing this. We're not defecating at our beaches. We're not just defecating on side. Let's not do this. Let's not do this. Please, let's not do this. There's many other types of things that you guys like to eat culturally. So please, let's not do this. Like, don't try to make it seem like you're so sophisticated and you know this, and let's not do this because it is not going to go well at all. And again, for any of the other people directly out there that want to sit up there and try to say that I have a hatred for Africans, that's a personal problem. Those are your feelings. You need to learn how to manage those. You need to learn how to sit up there and control those. And I keep telling y'all that. You're more than likely older than me. Learn how to manage yourself correctly. Learn how to have an emotional tone about yourself. If you want to actually conduct a type of stance or have a conversation with another person, because you're getting your feelings about the things that I'm saying, which is crazy to me because Africans say a lot of things about Black Americans all the time. And in a lot of instances, we choose to ignore it or not to react. But for whatever reason, that fuels the fire, and you guys tend to make more content. And again, like I said, it's crazy to me how it is that you want to say that we have a hatred for Black Americans, but yet your African people get on social media and make content about us every single day. Like I said before, y'all can't even make money off of yourselves. Europe is still making money off of you. Russia's making money off of you. America's making money off of you. China's making money. Everybody else is making money directly off of you, but you. Explain that one. Explain to me, how is it possible that every single time I get up and I look at social media, there's always an African talking about Black Americans? It don't matter if they're over in Africa. It don't matter if they're in Australia. Don't matter if they're in UK, if they're in Europe, if they're in Canada, or even in the United States. Somehow, some way, you guys are so fixated, and you always move your mouths only to specifically talk about Black Americans. But yet, you will never talk about a European man like this, though, right? Why is that? You're not going to bite the hand that feeds you. You will never talk about white Americans like this, right? Because again, you're not going to bite the hand that feeds you, right? That's crazy how that works. And this is why Black Americans tend to say that, we are, in a sense, the most forward whenever it is that people want to say certain things, or how it is that people want to specifically move, because we have spoken, hollered, yelled, fought directly with this government since we've been here. But yet you guys don't know anything about that because you don't even fight for yourselves back home. You got out of 54, like y'all like to say, oh, we got 54 countries. Out of 54 countries, you got a few of them. You got a handful of them that are literally taking a stand to push Europe directly out of Africa. The rest of you guys are sitting there, not doing nothing, not helping, not busting a grape. Better yet, you sitting up there just fighting amongst yourselves, scamming amongst yourselves. But you got the nerve to sit up there and say that I, as a Black American, have hatred for you when really you've shown the world how much hatred you have for yourself. No matter what disagreement or critiques I may have of my own people, of my own Black American people, I still love them at the end of the day. I'm not running from them. I'm not denying them at all. You Africans are showing the world how it is that you hate yourselves and Africa and where it is that you come from. Irregardless on however it is that you want to fly your flag and say, "Oh, I'm so proud. I got culture, I got heritage, I got traditions, I got this, that, and the third." But what good is that when you're not home? You want to talk about how proud you are when you're outside of home, but you're not talking that same talk when you're at home. When Black Americans are at home, we're always talking like that. I'm Black and I'm proud. Say it loud. I'm proud of my skin. Shout out to the melanated people directly out. We do everything possible to show love to all of our Black American people here. And that we even have enough energy from within that to extend that energy to other melanated people. We are not on the same plane of existence. We are not even in the same space of time. But let's continue.
So how come a French thing and an Italian thing is part of your culture? This is the reason why people keep on asking y'all these stupid questions, because you don't even know how to answer it. Answer the question properly and people will leave it alone. I don't even see the reason to talk about the other thing, because that's just a Black man with a radio. I understand what it symbolizes. It's hip hop. I get it, but that man is wearing a Kango. Okay. That's literally a company owned by a white man.
So everybody just take a note of the dumb comments that we've been just receiving today. This person wanted to say that please stop your stupidity. Africa won. What did Africa win? The love of America? White America? The love of Europe? Like what specifically did they exactly win? Because let me know. Because the United Kingdom still has their hands directly on Africa. Europe still has their hands on Africa. The United States still has their hands on Africa. Russia has their hands on Africa. China has their hand. What exactly is Africa when educate me on that? Because I ain't seeing it. Because Africa is not a first world. Correct me correct me if I'm wrong. China's moving at a faster pace than Africa. Let me know where is Africa on the same playing field as China. Because remember, people was talking about China was a third world country at a moment of time 20, 30 years ago. And then China sat up there and just basically picked itself up, as people like to say, by its bootstraps. And they did what needed to have had to be done. And they are pretty much going to be the world leaders in tech by 2030 or 2032. The whole world is going to be looking at China. Where is Africa in that landscape? Because this person wants to sit up there and say that Africa won. Won what? Won what? Like I'm confused. We got another because I'm going through the comment sections real slow. We got another person that said, you lot mumble. So I know you're from the UK. I ordered that's the one main identifier because lot is not a word that any black American uses. It's not. So somebody from the UK, more than likely an African, said, you lot mumble and grumble. You're black, your ancestors are black African. Black African, that's not even a anyways. You say your African your ancestors are black African. um self-heart, I think you meant self-hate, is such a shame. Know who you are and be proud of yourself whenever wherever you are and don't believe otherwise. So the funniest thing is when black Americans say that they're black Americans and that we're proud to be black Americans, as you like to say, you lot are the main ones that pull up out of the woodworks on black American platforms, and you want to try to tell us what it is that we aren't and are not. I'm saying now I'm a black American. You want to sit up there and start adding all this other type of stuff specifically directly in there. This is what we talk about with disrespect and how it is that y'all don't like to listen. Y'all don't acknowledge what it is that we sit up there and tell y'all. We tell y'all this stuff like 99 different times, and y'all still don't listen. Like that is diabolical. Like I'm a little bit confused. Like I always like using all of these words every single time, and it makes no sense. Rabbit said, "Yo, what is up?" You said you've been engaging. You say you've been engaging with me for a long time, and you're not afraid of me. People don't happen to do research. People don't happen to look around. People don't watch live streams, tune in to videos, or any of these. Like I said, I don't have a fear of people. I don't. Like for what? It don't make sense. Everybody's gonna die someday, right? Why am I going to sit up there in fear? Like you're not going to sit up there and like live 1,000 years. Like no, nobody out here is like a vampire and stuff. Like I said, it's crazy when a lot of folks out here want to pull up to the scene and they were like, Seji, you're you hate Africans and you know da 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 all this other type of stuff. I'm like, that's crazy. I'm trying to go back up to that lady's comment from before where she would specifically say that I got a hate for Africans just directly up there. Let me see. Or it might have got taken down. Let me see. Fingernails. Yeah. Classic comment right there. Got to make sure to bookmark that one. Yeah. Like I said, it's crazy work, but It be like that though. People always want to say a whole bunch of stuff. People always want to say a whole bunch of stuff that don't need to be said. Mm-mm-mm. But anyways, let's continue.
Respectfully, and most importantly, personally, I will not be boycotting all African businesses. I will not be participating in that boycott. I personally do not see the sense in it. And let me tell you why. All right, so when the situation first hit my timeline and first hit my For You page, I needed all the details. I needed to figure out what exactly is going on. Why is there being a massive notification being pushed out to boycott all African businesses? Like, what's tea? And then after actually doing the research and figuring out what was going on, you mean to tell me that one customer, African American woman, sorry, a black woman, right, just so happened to receive bad customer service from a service provider who was a hair braider that is of African descent, right? And now decided because of that personal experience that she was going to basically ignite a mass nationwide boycott of all African businesses. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to any of you guys? In all honesty, one isolated situation, one isolated event that I'm not saying is not uncommon. We've all dealt with very money hungry service providers that do not care about quality. They do not care about customer service.
So I want y'all to understand how it is that this this woman here is talking. And I think I might have covered some videos that she's done before and things that she has specifically stated. So she specifically gave you the parameters of like, yo, Black Americans wanted to do X, Y, Z, and all this other type of stuff, right? But then when she wanted to give an explanation to explain it, she wanted to all lives matter. She wanted to be like, well, we've all dealt with these types of, people and these businesses that no, just as specific as you were when you talked about, hey, this black woman wanted to do this boycott for X amount of reasons. When I want to know to people, that's not the only reason. That's not the only reason that these things were specifically taking place. This was one of many. Because again, you got people that want to specifically try to dictate and tell Black Americans that, oh, we're not needed, we don't move anything, our money is not, law and all this other type of stuff. So again, when you're specifically talking about hair and beauty and stuff, you're specifically talking to Black women. So the moment in time you do that, you're going to sit up there and find out. You're going to find out real quick. And this is when I've covered videos where you've had these Africans, some of the African shops directly up there, hurried up and went directly on TikTok, and they were pleading. They were like, hey, for the Black community, please do not sit up there and boycott me. All of my customers are Black American women. I don't have an issue directly with you. I don't what did she say? She doesn't agree with, the other stuff that those African people are doing. She does not side with them or anything. Right. That's the way that she wanted to speak. That's the way she wanted to talk directly about it. But that showed you that obviously African women are not just solely specifically going to these African braiders. And then on top of that, the other reason that this was happening is because Africans came out on social media in droves talking about it is xenophobic and it's racist to call it, to say that you're going to the Africans or you're going to the African braiding shop to have the Africans braid. What else am I supposed to sit up there and call it? What else am I supposed to call an African braiding shop that literally has African braiding shop directly on the front of the storefront, like in neon lights? Like what am I supposed to sit up there and say? They're African braiders, are they not? Like what am I supposed to? Oh, I'm going to the human braiding shop with human braiders. What? Like what are we doing? We're dealing with cultures, right? Braiding is, as people said, Africans created braiding. Everything comes from Africa, right? So we're dealing with a culture and we're labeling it as it should be labeled, right? We're going to Africans who culturally and historically have braided over in their lands for eons since the beginning of time. We're going to them to get our hair braided, right? But like I said, people like this want to skip over a lot of those other things that's transpiring in between a lot of this other stuff, which further adds to the reason of a lot of these boycotts and stuff behind it, instead of just one thing. Let's continue.
We've all been there before, but you just don't go back to that particular person. You don't give money to that particular person. But to now enlist an entire boycott of all African businesses, do you know how many mouths you're going to be stopping from being able to get fed? Do you know how many bills you're going to now be helping pile up? A lot of small business owners, all because of one incident where you didn't feel respected by this particular service provider. And now you want us to basically boycott all service providers from this continent, because it's not a country, it's a continent. You want us all to boycott every business that just so happens to be in connection to the continent of Africa. That makes sense? Because if that was the case, when that Chinese American shot and killed that black girl, accusing her of stealing, and she wasn't stealing, there wouldn't be as many Asian businesses flourishing in America if y'all were all on that type of timing.
I want her to be very specific. She's talking about Miss Harlan's and how the Asian shop owner, because for whatever reason she said Chinese, Asian shop owner decided that she wanted to, after the argument or whatever that they sat up there and had, the Asian shop owner decided that she wanted to lean over the counter after everything was said and done, and she wanted to take a life of a black girl who was walking away. That was not a threat. That did not have any type of a weapon. She was clearly walking out the door to sit up there and go home out of frustration of the argument or whatever that basically took place. And she wants to levy that and say that, oh, if black people were really on that type of time, then there would be no Asian businesses. The main supporters of Asian businesses are white people. Do you not understand that Asians are what is considered to be honorary white? They are considered to be the model minority. They are a buffer. They are also the exact same people who voted to get rid of affirmative action and DEI and ended up going back and regretting that decision, because as soon as they got rid of affirmative action, they were no longer had a huge populations in a lot of these colleges. Now a lot of like, oh, I want to go to this college. Those colleges are like, no, we don't want you, because now they don't got to have you there. They don't got to have that certain percentage, that certain demographic anymore, because y'all thought that y'all are bigger than the program and got rid of it. But again, let's continue.
If all it took was one isolated incident, right, for there to be a mass boycotting, Asians should not be the leading or the leaders in beauty store supply chains and whatnot. They shouldn't be number one. They shouldn't have as many nail shops. You understand? Do you know how many times I've actually gone online?
Hold on. Okay. So, because I see somebody, hold on, let me just highlight this real quick. Right? So, you said that some of y'all love y'all fake hair, right? Basically, in a reference to black women basically getting their hair done and all this other type of stuff. I've done videos going over the numbers of how much money basically, goes directly into the beauty industry, dealing with hair and all this other type of stuff, right? A lot of money. But the other thing when it deals with Asians that people don't want to talk about, how many people on this platform right now are using a cell phone that was made in China? Because I'm pretty sure everybody here didn't make their own phone, because I know that my phone is Chinese. At least the parts that's directly in it. I know the computer that I got. I know my game system. I know a lot of the stuff that I have is in a sense made in China or has parts in China. It's not made from America. So it's like I want people to actually like critically think on stuff before they happen to say stuff. Because at this moment in time, a lot of the stuff that you buy is not even American. Just to be frank, just to be real. And a lot of that adds directly into how it is that Asians are able to move to and from and do the things that they are able to specifically do. Because everybody here facilitates in one way or another in giving money directly to the Asian community. If you got tech, you are for sure giving money directly into the Asian community. It's not just a beauty industry type of thing. It's not just a nail salon type of thing. Like I said, there was a story that I think I went over in a live stream where there is a an Asian man, one of the richest men in China, who came over to America to buy American water. So, like I said before, one way or another, you're going to be feeding money directly over there to Asians. It ain't just a beauty care, type of thing, dealing with hair and nails. So again, I just want people to get a way broader, when it deals with their thoughts and how it is that they want to specifically, pick things out, right?
And booked to get my hair done by a black American stylist and was so underwhelmed by the quality of customer service. When I'm talking about rude, y'all want deposits. We give the deposits. You guys complain about it too. So it's not a thing about ethnicity or nationality. It's just there are some shitty service providers out there that are literally just doing it for a check, and we know that. I would have been all for it if you stated, and I'm talking specifically to that customer who started this all. If you wanted to be like, do not come to this particular location, don't go there, they're X, Y, and Z. Yeah, go ahead, boycott them, because if they don't care about their customer service, they shouldn't be in customer service fields. They shouldn't be over here providing services if they fail in that area. You understand? But for you to take one isolated situation and now compare it to everybody else, that don't make no sense to me. And I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Especially when I'm not, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna just call it out how it is. We're not doing that to the others. And
Well, let me just pause there real quick. You said why and how are Asians got into this conversation? That was a clear cut response to things being directly sold and brought. That was a response that I gave directly to the previous comment directly up there. Because the lady said that if black people were really on that type of time, there wouldn't be a lot of Asian businesses. So that was response A. And then somebody else in the comment section basically said that black women, love their hair. That's the response B. All of those areas, when it really deals with the hair industry, when it deals with things, you know, being in a sense fabricated, those are Asians. So that's where clear cut my response was directly coming from when I brought Asians directly in there. And yeah, so
y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Y'all not giving that same energy right now to the others. So let's not do it within our own diaspora. Okay? You received bad quality service from one individual. You don't go back to that individual. You do not try to elicit a nationwide boycott on everybody of one certain ethnicity, because you're now affecting a lot of the homes of those, like, for what? That don't make no sense. Off of one person? I'm sorry, miss me with that.
you said take the lost and move on. Black people are lazy and on EBT, so we are the look for our business. Africans can support Africans since they are the hardest working people. I've heard the same terminology, hardest working people, from a variety of different groups. And it's only into reference when people want to always talk about black Americans. This is the only time that y'all talk about that y'all the hardest working people. Because y'all never happen to say this when it deals with other groups. Y'all never say that y'all outwork other groups of people. Y'all never do this. And y'all for sure won't sit up there and say that y'all harder working than white folks. Y'all never sit up there and say, I never seen y'all say that. Never seen y'all say it. Even though history can tell some stories, y'all would never open your mouths to sit up and say it. But for whatever reason, when it deals with black Americans, people always want to try to say, oh, you guys are lazy, EBT. Y'all some clowns. Some straight clowns. And this is why a lot of y'all are just directly in the comment section writing the stuff that y'all like to sit up there and write. You know. Shout out to this person. White people have allowed the Asian businesses in black neighborhoods and denied black Americans access. There's a lot of that's taking place and happened. A lot of red tape. There's a lot of that going on. Um, Roth Love TV said first we're dealing with the most disrespectful, and that is the Africans. You know, the funny part is I've covered. I guess the way that I talk is going to be a little bit different because I've covered this a lot more. Um, because like I said before, if you want to really, I'm looking at everything on like the same level, right? Because I put it to you like this when it deals with the Asians directly out there. Because again, I focus directly on every single nationality roughly on this planet, except for those that are just a straight tribe somewhere in the Amazon where they don't really got tech. I know a lot of people got like TikTok brain, so let me just rewind this for a minute. Back during 2019 is when I first heard about the pandemic, and I was over there overseas, dealing with China and all that other type of stuff, right? In comes the first part of 2020, and you got some whisperers here and there directly talking about the pandemic. Months go by when everything starts to blow up and people are just going crazy. Oh my god, what are we gonna do? Right, that type of thing. This is when the media, mainstream media, is like, yo, white people primarily are the ones, especially the older and the younger, they're primarily being the most affected, and they're the ones passing away directly from the pandemic, right? And then people in America got into this whole thing, quote unquote, the true Americans, they got into this whole thing of like, oh, everything is directly coming from, one area of the world, right? So they decided that they're going to blame China, right? So then because of that and because of the way that they felt, they then started getting directly on the Asian Americans in America. It was a bad time for Asian Americans at that moment in time, right? So two groups were basically getting hit because of specifically how everything came to be. Kid you not, when I covered all of this and I made several videos, it now became a moment in time during the pandemic, go back and look, where all of a sudden, instead of focusing on those two groups, people are like, oh no, the reason why the pandemic is spreading is because Black Americans are the ones that are, most susceptible to it. They're the ones really passing away from it. They're the ones able to transmit it. They're the ones we really need to educate about it. They're the ones we really need to sit up there and get on this bandwagon. And we need to get all of the celebrities, all of their media. We need to dictate and point commercials directly towards them. We need to have walks through the community, do all of this stuff. It all of a sudden became a black thing. And I'm like, how did that happen? I'm like, and I'm watching this in 4K, but I'm like, I guess everybody forgot. I guess everybody forgot about that one on when that set up there and specifically took place. Like I said, as a content creator, I remember. So if we're going to sit up there and talk about disrespect, I'm going to be sitting up there looking at the demographics who have done a variety of things, and I'm looking at everybody. Realistically, I'm not in a sense putting one group directly over another. I'm looking at everybody because I've covered everybody. I've covered Indians who are Southeast Asian. I done sat up there and covered the Hispanics. I done covered people from South America, covered, Mexicans. I done sat up there and covered all types of immigrants and covered Europeans and covered white Americans, covered Canadians. That's not even, really ethnicity, but you know what I'm saying. Like I said, I done covered people from pretty much every continent. Only areas I didn't touch was like the North Pole and Antarctica and past Antarctica and under the sea, right? Those are the only areas that I have not covered. And again, like I said, I'm viewing the disrespect from everybody directly out there. So again, if I happen to mention, because I don't know why people are having a little bit of a conniption um, when I mention other groups directly in this conversation. Like I said, I didn't cover videos. Shout out to brother Tyrone Muhammad. That is a black man that stood 10 toes down to defend black women when it dealt with the Asian nail shops, where at a time, black women were really getting harassed. They were getting beaten. They were getting brutalized. Um, they were, in a sense, being, I almost want to use the terminology, captured in these nail shops and these nail salons by the Asians directly out there. Like I said, I don't remember. I don't forget. That's what I meant. I don't forget. I remember. And brother Tyrone Muhammad literally risked his life and his freedom to prove a point on how it is that black men in America care about black women and how it is that they get treated by a lot of these businesses that are in our communities but not of our communities. So again, if we're going to talk about the utmost disrespectful people directly out here, I'm going to sit up there and highlight those disrespectful people directly out here. I'm going to showcase those people directly out here. And if I happen to talk about any of these videos, I'm going to bring that directly up here. So if y'all happen to disagree, if y'all happen to have a problem, I don't know what to sit up there and tell you. That's personal. Like I said, if you feel that I'm incorrect, go make a video. That's the best way I can sit up and tell you. If you feel like I'm incorrect, go sit up there and make a video. That's all you got to sit up there and do. I see some trolls directly in here. We got Tammy Dorsey says, "So glad I caught you live, nephew." Hey, much love, respect, and appreciation. Much love, much love, much love. Let me see. True said it was hard for Asians. How you said it was a lie that they was just mad that when we're getting it. I mean, either which way it basically goes. Like I said before, for them it was because it was only one percentage. Not 1%. It was only a certain percentage in the United States that were specifically actually attacking them and performing these types of hateful attacks and many other things directly out there. But again, even within that, when they wanted to do to stop the Asian hate, they made sure to primarily and only show what appear to be black people committing these acts. And I sat up there and covered these videos before. And I especially covered one of those before. And I'm like, that dude does not sound like a black man. I'm like, that is an immigrant. I'm like, how do y'all sit up there and literally see a video that is on social media and you can hear it and your man identifies like, oh, that looks like a black man, so it has to be a black. What? Like, it's crazy. Like, I got tons of videos directly up here of just random white guys out here just harassing Asians for no reason. Like I said, I uncovered a video of Asians at a gas station. It was an Asian man at a gas station. A white dude that was a Trump supporter had Trump just like spray painted on his van, sitting up there telling an Asian man to go back to China. Huh? Where do you even come from sitting up there like just like saying something like that? Like, go back to Europe, right? But like I said, they'll be the first ones to sit up there and say that they're not an immigrant, that they were like born here. I'm like, nah, your people immigrated here. Whether you know it or not, your people immigrated here. That's some crazy work directly out here. You got some other people in there trying to make the conversation about themselves. That's some crazy work. Shout out to all the disagrees and the people that got some problem. D Money was like it was like the Lord's work is never done. Like I said, people must not understand. I got a lot of great, wonderful, awesome, beautiful moderators directly out here, and they will send you directly to the shadow realm. We got some other people that are sitting up there selling some tickets that you can buy directly right now. They got one use and one time only tickets. They got those directly for you. You can buy your tickets. Shout out to Mo. Like I said, either which way it goes, you want to sit up there and talk stupid, act stupid. We got a place directly for you. The Money said the Asian crime bill 3 weeks later. Yeah, like I said before, Asians were sitting up there getting everything. It was out there. It was flying for them. And then even after that, some years after that, you saw the Asian hype that happened. Right. It was like a full year. It was nothing but like they had just Asians up there highlighted. Asians were sitting up there winning. And then on top of that, Asians sat up there and got a form of reparations for their community specifically. And it was said that they can use it to rebuild stuff in their community, build up schools, revitalize buildings, and all this other type of stuff. But when it deals with Black Americans just trying to look for a little bit of extra something to help out the community, people are like, oh no, you guys want handouts. You're looking for this, you're looking for that, all this other type of stuff. Crazy work. Crazy work. 100%. And it's amazing after the Asians got all of that stuff, it's like everything disappeared. I'm like, that don't make sense. Usually if a crime happens, crime is still going to happen. It don't matter what laws pass. We got a lot of gun crimes, but yet we also have gun laws. Right? So the crime is the laws are not going to stop the crime. So how is it possible that when all of this stuff was supposedly happening to the Asians, that after everything passed, they were able to get some form of reparations, they were able to get things passed, they had their people speaking directly at the White House, crazy work, and all of these other types of all of these celebrities, stop the Asian, hey, all of this stuff, right? After all of that transpired, how is it possible that all of that just pretty much went down to zero? I thought black folks were just always attacking Asians. Why would that then stop? Right? Like I said, it'd be like that. People choose not to, happen to look at stuff, critically think. You know, Gail said they did all that for the Asians, and the mofo's still are invisible to me. Yep. Like I said, I uncovered a lot of videos where Asians were just being harassed and attacked by conservatives, by Caucasians. Either they were driving by saying something, they were coming directly to their house, they were getting into their face, they were trying to cause fun. Like I uncovered a variety of videos, but magically, everybody turns into, Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles, and they can't see nothing. They're just blind to all of it. It's crazy work. Like I say, you can't tell nobody nothing. People always want to make, in order for anything to make money or for anything to make sense or for anybody to support it, you have to have somebody black portrayed as the negative to be the poster child of it in order for it to flourish. That's it. That's how it works. Like I said, they tried to do that directly with the LGBT. And then you had what was that white dude's name? Who was a Democrat supporter? I forgot his name, but he was taking the lives of gay black men. I forgot his name, and I did about 3 to 4 videos. The third black guy was the one that was able to escape. He was sitting up there drugging these dudes up and doing whatever, and then magically these dudes would end up, pretty much not existing anymore. Forgot that dude's name. No, 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 no. It wasn't Jeffrey Dahmer. It was somebody recent. The person was he gave money over to the Clintons, and he was a Democratic donator. No, 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 it wasn't Dahmer. It was somebody recent. It was somebody I'm talking about very, very recent. I'm talking about since I've been doing YouTube, very recent. I want to say that should have been 2022, maybe 2021, 2022, somewhere in there that I covered it. I forgot the dude's name. Lord, and it's gonna kill me right now. D Money said I missed that story. Um, ah, Gail said the Tiger King. No, no, no. Thank you, thank you. That's the name. Thank you. His name is Ed Buck. That's the guy. Let me give y'all the picture of the guy that I'm talking about. Because I covered this story for a variety of reasons. Cover this story for a variety of reasons. And again, like I said before, a lot of people like to say that, oh, Seji, you hate a variety of different groups. And I didn't try to give information to a variety of groups that I'm not even a part of. But like I said, people only want to, look at certain things. So this is who I'm talking about. They said file type is invalid. Brother, you're playing me right now. Okay, I got you. I gotta screenshot it and then save it. This is so stupid. I don't even know why it does that. I got you. Let me just post that right there. So this is the person that I'm talking about. I did about 3 videos directly on this guy following this story. And each one of the guys that he ensnared, that he drugged up, that he pretty much had a plan for, they were black. They were gay black men. And I specifically pointed this out because when it deals with society, you have in general, people don't care about black men, right? Then a part of that same demographic that's a minority within it, you got gay black men. And the craziest part is I pointed this out to showcase the fact that not even the LGBT, which the greater majority of that is white representation, they weren't really talking about this. They weren't really saying anything. When they had protests outside of Ed Buck's house, you only saw a few far and in between people. This was not like some large march. This was not like some large thing or whatnot, whatever. And this is why you heard a lot of people go out there online and say over time that Black lives do matter. Because again, when things like this take place, and when you can specifically see a pattern, and you can specifically see that people are targeted, A lot of people that look like Ed Buck don't want to say nothing. They don't want to bring it up. They don't want to talk about it. They're Stevie Wonder on all of these stories. Like I said, that's crazy to me. But like I said, he was a Democratic donator. He was up there, with the Clintons. Got pictures with a lot of people directly up there. And notice how a lot of those people don't even whisper or utter his name. He's almost like Lord Voldemort, he who shall not be named. It's amazing when a lot of their friends who are basically found to be, you know, some type of criminal, some type of villain, they act like they never even knew the person. And it's real funny how nobody in the media brings up to any of the Democrats how it is that this person was basically there. How do they feel about the story? What do they have to say to those families that were affected? Have you guys looked in or checked in on any of those families or whatnot or whatever? And I promise you the answer is no. Any of the ones directly out here that run through and talk about the Democratic Party, they'll make sure not to mention anything dealing with Ed Buck or many other people directly out there that have specifically done things of this sort. Just like Republicans, for whatever reason, color me surprised, decide that they don't want to talk about those out there that do abhorrent attacks directly on the family, where it seems that people have a higher propensity to go directly after the family, or they have a higher propensity to be the ones hiding or living a double lifestyle, or have a propensity to be the types to try to what's the best way I can sit up there and put it? Make sure that their families are on a different plane of existence. You know, it's crazy how that works. It's diabolical. It is 100% diabolical. Sham said, was he a serial killer too? I want to say technically you can put him up there because that's what he was doing. He was going after gay black men because he himself is gay, and he specifically targeted them with money, drugs, and all that other type of stuff. And then magically, those guys, they just would not be existing. Oddly enough, like I'm like, why would that even? How could that even happen? Like basically, he was in a sense Jeffrey Dahmer, just for a whole nother age, right? But it's crazy. Sham said, I wonder if he joined that party so his victims can let their guard down around him. He probably did. He probably did. Probably did. Sham said, what was it? A gay man said he goes uh, to Republican conventions because he picks up a lot of men who hide being gay or live a double life. Yeah, I've heard of that as well too. I think I had a video directly on that where somebody was talking about that, just like you mentioned, that they tend to go to like these Republican conventions because a lot of those dudes are living double lives, and you can find a lot of those dudes on a lot of those sites that they happen to date on and all that other type of stuff. And I'm like, that is wild. I can't say that I'm surprised, but again, that is wild. That is wild. Somebody said, what's this about? Well, we got the original topic. Either, well, for me it's above the video, but for you it might be below the video, which is they can't get views um without black Americans, which is basically referencing the exact same topics pretty much that I've talked about before, where you got Africans, other immigrants directly out there that specifically want to mention or talk about black Americans in order to shed a type of light or pull money directly over to their platforms. So that's pretty much what I went over the greater majority of the hour and 59 minutes to touching on 2 hours. So yep. Somebody said, I said every day, everywhere that the racism neutralizer to white women and white men is, I don't know nothing about that. Somebody said 5 years of freedom after first known victim. Oh yeah. It was a long time before he actually got caught. It was a very long time before he got caught. Sham said, Becky be looking at us, black women, like we stole her man, and her man thinking of Buck breaking Leroy. Yeah, yeah, yep. That is bars. Because whether a lot of people know it or not, a lot of those, even I put it to you, even to a further extent, a lot of the dudes out there that are like the hardcore, like racist and all this other type of stuff, they like to dibble and dabble in a whole bunch of other stuff. A lot of those dudes, they be with all of that anger, animosity, they be living double lives and be dibbling and dabbling in other type of stuff. But they try to put on this whole posture as if like, I'm racist, I don't like you, this, that, and the third. And they be the main ones trying to seek and go after black dudes. But yet they try to sell y'all a whole different story. Like I said, it's crazy. It's diabolical. It is diabolical. And the reasons that you're probably not going to hear about is because a lot of the black dudes out there, they're not going to, they probably getting paid. They probably, getting a hefty sum directly out there, dealing directly with that type of stuff or doing that type of content. And on top of that, they know how it's going to make them look. And yeah, it's going to make them look crazy because I'm like, dog, what you doing? I'm like, what are you doing? But it'd be like that. You can't tell people nothing. People want to do whatever it is they want to sit up there and do and think that there are no specific consequences for the things that they decide to, do. So, yeah, there's that. But anyways, that is pretty much it. That is it for the live stream, guys. Much love, respect, and appreciation to any and everybody that has been here. Shout out to all my beautiful, wonderful moderators for the work that you guys do every single day. Shout out, as D Money would always say, shout out to all the regulars in the chat. Shout out to any recent subscribers. Shout out to anybody who has donated to the platform one way or another by way of becoming a member, by way of the chats, by way of Cash App, by way of Patreon, and by way of PayPal and things of that nature. Much love, respect, and appreciation. And also shout out to the haters. Shout out to the, all y'all, because y'all always come here every single day out of boredom. You can never sit up there and sit by yourselves and just deal with self, and that brings you right back to me. Much love, respect, and appreciation. Much appreciation for it. Like I said, it's a very, very great thing. Yo, Nikki, what is up? What is up? What is up? You said sorry I missed it. No, that's good. The replay and everything of the sort will be up there. And like I said before, anything that I did cover, I will have in a shorter form video. And post it for you. Wait, Sham said LOL Seji, what was that game you were talking about? Okay, so let me just sidebar this real quick. So the game, so Sham, if you look directly on your Steam, there should be a notification up there. I'm not sure if you actually check your Steam, but it should be a notification directly up there. And it should be for Path of Exiles 2. Right. So check that out. You might have to play that on the lowest settings because I'm not sure, your computer build and the graphics card that you have. Even on mine, my computer is pretty much 2020. So it's like pretty much the beginning of the pandemic, right? So I need to do a lot of work. But it's still manageable, it still works and things of that sort. But check out Path of Exiles 2. Because a brand new update is coming. What is it, like September 2nd, or maybe it's or is it already out? Maybe it's like the 27th of I forgot, somewhere in between the tail end of August to September 2nd or 3rd, there's going to be this large update. That's a vast update that's happening for Path of Exiles 2, and it's adding way more content. It went over a lot of the skills and buffed a lot of things and whatnot or whatever. So check that out. Check that out. Give it a try. It's like Diablo, but it's like Diablo on steroids times 1,000. Like things that you wanted to do in Diablo, you can do in Path of Exiles. So instead of throwing, one fireball or 3 fireballs, you're throwing like 20 in the screen directly at a boss. And then you can have those reflect off as soon as it hits and it bounces off, it splits again and it makes 20 other fireball. Like it's crazy. Like it's the amount of stuff that you're able to do and how they just reopened how it is that we can spec directly into our skills. It's crazy. You said I'm gonna play it tonight. Yeah, yeah. Let me know how you like it. I got a mercenary and I forgot the other class that I got, but I got a few classes, directly up there. So yeah, so it's pretty nice, and I think we're also going to have a new season happening as well too. So just like in Diablo, got the seasons where you pick your character, play him, and all that other type of stuff. So yeah, Gail said peace and love. A JMV said I give the haters a one finger salute. Much love, respect, and appreciation. Tippy said, "How was your day?" My day was pretty good. It was pretty good, pretty good. Going all right. D Money said we get paid off of the haters too. That is bars, 100%. Love the haters. Love the haters. Love them every single cent, every single 10, 25 cents. Love the haters. Tippy said I need a laptop with an excellent graphics card to handle Enjoy and The Sims. Yeah, yeah, you're gonna need a new one. You're gonna need a gaming laptop. Luckily, those are actually technically pretty cheap, but Tippy is frugal, so we don't know. Sham said, thanks. I've been looking for something to play since this or play like this to release some stress. Oh yeah. Trust me, Path of Exiles is going to, if you think that you were uh, playing like a sweat, directly when it dealt with Grounded and Diablo, and you were no life in it. Oh yeah, Path of Exiles, you're going to be going deep. It's going to be a lot of trying to figure like that skill tree is not anything like you've seen. Like Diablo cannot even light a candle to the skill tree in Path of Exiles. Like it is massive. And in certain instances, it is a daunting task. Like it will, in some instances, people will be scared of how much there is that you can spec directly into and how diverse you can go with the skill tree. Sham said, okay, don't be surprised. I got an OP character. It's going to take you a minute. I will tell you that shit. It's going to take him, and it's I'm going to have to like talk to you about it later because there's even more in depth stuff where you can turn a skill. You can val a skill, which is like VAAL, a skill which is basically you can corrupt your skill to have an extra prefix directly on it for it to do something else, and you can also do that to your weapons. So there's multiple layers when deal with Path of Exiles and how you can build and fine tune and do all of those things. So trust me, it's going to be you'll be able to, of course, do some very powerful things, but that overpowered stage, yeah, you ain't seen nothing yet. Just wait. I'm telling you, it is worth playing. And we got like Acts 1 through 3. The update is going to bring in Acts 4. On top of the fact that it's going to bring in 3 like minor acts directly to it. So again, it's something to check out. Tippy said I'm starting to dislike salmon. I don't know why. Maybe my taste buds want something different. I mean, I mean, if you're not used to eating the same thing, you might have to do something different, or maybe you might need to put something different directly on the salmon. So try some gutter. I'm sorry, I said gutter. Try some garlic butter. Try putting some lemon directly on it. Steaming the salmon. With all of those things, the garlic butter and the olive oil. Having probably try throwing like some rosemary or something directly on there, right? Some thyme or whatnot. Or like I said, you can spice it up and have it, taste different. Then you can also use some different types of rice like jasmine and different things, or maybe infuse some other stuff in the rice too. Like I said, you can do some things. And then on top of that, you can mix up, salmon with pasta. Like I said, it's a variety of things you can do. Tippy said, but what's a great laptop I can play with? Every laptop at this moment in time, I'm not sure about Macs, but every laptop at this moment in time that's a normal Windows has the ability to connect directly to a controller. So that would either be an Xbox, a Nintendo, or whatever controller. You have the ability to actually just like on my computer, I play with my Xbox controllers. So you can do the same thing on your laptop as well too. Pink said, any suggestions for a gaming laptop? Ooh, I have not gamed on a laptop in a minute. Um, and I'm not going to point you in a direction of Alienware either. Um, I gotta just sit up there and type something in real quick. Ooh, yeah, because Alienware. I love Alienware. I've always wanted to get one, but that is way out of my price range. Dear Lord, one of the bad boys costs about 3K. I'm like, yeah. I don't even think I can dream of that laptop. Like, yo, it was crazy. Let me see what Lenovo. I've heard about Lenovo, and people say they got some good budgets directly. I will say that. Oh dear God! I mean, the cheapest one I see up here is for like $949. Whew, Jesus! You might have to go on like Amazon or something. I don't know. I would say it would depend on what your spending in a sense will be, and graphic wise, what are you looking for? Because yeah, if you're not that that hype on graphics, you could deal with something that's in if they got a 7, 8, or a $900 gaming laptop, you could probably do that. If you're looking for the best of the best graphics, then you're gonna of course have to go with higher prices, higher ranges, stuff of that nature. I would normally just sit up there and say realistically PC, but I know people like to travel, so it's going to be a gaming laptop. It just depends on what your price range is. To be real, it just depends on the price range there and what you're willing to spend. Sham said, I recommend going AMD right now for graphics cards. Nvidia is having a leap, hard time leaping. Sham said Asus is best for gaming. All right, so that is technically Sham is our local female gamer aficionado. Is that aficionado? Is that the right word? I probably used the wrong word. Anyways, Sham is pretty much the go-to woman here to deal with tech, gaming, and everything of that sort. As I like to call her, aka the hacker. She's not a hacker, but I just like sitting up there saying it because it's hilarious. It's hilarious. Um, AK said the salmon is ranch raised and only fed pellets. Um, you said must buy wild cut without pink food coloring. Oh yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. You want the healthier version of the salmon. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Sam said, "Don't get HPs for gaming. Linux gaming or Dell gaming is okay." Tippy said, "3K for what?" LOL. It's for graphics. Tippy is for the performance and the graphics of the laptop for what it's going to be able to do and give you. Like I said, you got a lot of Steam games that will require you to have a certain amount of power to even be able to play them on the lowest settings. So if you got the highest grade PC, that's going to clear all of those boundaries. You'll just be able to play everything for a period of time up until things graphically again go up, right? And we pretty much get graphics cards like every 6 months to every year. So it's always a leap and a jump. Tippy said 900 ain't cheap. I mean, it's cheaper than $3,000, Tippy. I don't know what to tell you. Sam said I'm going to update my graphics card come this fall. Oh yeah, yeah. Sham said careful on Amazon. You get a lot of fakes on there. True, that is true. Tippy said to play The Sims and enjoy with no lagging. I don't want a laptop that gets hot. Um, I think you should be good. I think you should be good. I don't think you'll really have a problem directly with that, especially with a newer laptop. You don't have to worry about something trying to overheat and just burn up on you. That's not how like newer stuff tends to work. Now, if your stuff was like lower power and it was older and it's trying to use something that requires more, then that's a little bit different. Your system is going to try to overwork itself to compensate for whatnot or whatever. So, there goes, your computer trying to heat up. You don't really got the space, you don't really got the RAM and all that other type of stuff. Pink said roughly 2K and pretty decent graphics. Um so what was it? Let me go back up to okay. So for Pink, I got Sham's comment directly up there. She said don't get HPs for gaming. Linux gaming or Dell gaming is okay. Right? Or I think she said you can also get a Asus as well. And those have a variety of different, what's the names directly up there. I would say just for me, because I am a tech guy, but I also like to look at live reviews. If you do plan to buy some tech, watch normal people give reviews, give tech reviews over about the product. So you can pretty much tell like, okay, I like how this actually looks from his viewpoint from the camera. I like the specifics. I like the screen. I like the graphics. I like this, that, and the third. I would say watch a lot of tech reviews because that will, give you a lot. Like tech reviews have educated me on a lot of stuff that I might not have even really focused on, aware of, or even paying attention to. So I would say highly, try to figure out what you want to buy, at least like the top three, and then type it into YouTube or TikTok and watch some tech reviews and see what those creators got to say about it. Because again, they spent the money already directly on it. They might have spent that 1K, 2K, 3K. So watch them since they already spent the money, and then you can figure out if that is perfect for you. D Money said, what kind of graphics do you need for the Sims? Yeah, technically the Sims don't really need graphics. Enjoy that needs graphics though. That needs graphics. Um, Tippy said, yeah, good idea. I need to use one. Sham said, if you get used to one, try eBay. I don't like to recommend Walmart laptops to people because they overheat too fast due to fan failure. Yeah, I would never do anything Walmart. Like I said, I gave y'all that video about the Walmart fish, the value fish that they have. Never do that. Never do it. I am so anti Walmart when it even deals with food. If it's junk food, it's whatever. But like the food that they nah. That fish turned into like cardboard. I don't even know what that was. I can tell you it was not salmon. That was straight trash. And I think that video is still up there. Tippy says, you got any laptops collecting dust? Yeah, I do got old laptops, but they wouldn't be able to play the games that you want. Like those laptops are past 2020. Like those are old. Pink said, I bought so many games on Steam and have yet to play them. Yeah, I'm the same way too. I got a lot of games that I've either bought or maybe pre-ordered. Still haven't really invested a lot of time directly in them. Sitting up here just spending time either doing live streams, doing videos, editing, or doing anything dealing with content creation. So that pretty much draws attention, you know. So I trust me, I'm right there with you. Sham said you need more RAM to play The Sims than graphics. You need something with about 32 gigs of RAM to run The Sims well. That is true. I don't really trust Tippy in opening up her laptop. She would have to watch some videos. And plus, I'm not even sure how old her laptop is. So yeah, there's that. Gordon Brown said I stopped playing computer games in the 1980s. Woo! That's a while ago. Well, this is the thing for Golden Brown. I'll sit up there and tell you this: if you are still like a gamer, because like I said, whew, that was wild. That was a while ago. If you still technically have that gaming itch, and you're technically still into gaming, I would say like you could get a standard issue PC and get back into gaming and and things of that nature, or even into console gaming. I mean, matter of fact, they have handhelds. They have like in a sense PC handhelds. Um, that you what is it? You got the Steam Deck, which is what a range in between what like $600 to like maybe like $900, where you can play Steam games. So for like Tippy, where she's like, yo, I need a a system where I can play all of my Steam games and I can play Enjoy. The Steam Deck would allow you to be able to play Enjoy, and that is in a sense cheaper than the PCs or laptops, the gaming laptops that are directly out there, and stuff of that nature. So, you could always get directly back in there. Like I said, I told people before, I was born a gamer, and that's the exact same way I'm going to be. Trust me, 60s, 70s, 80s. I don't care how my hands moving. Somehow, some way, we gonna be gaming. Because, like I said, it's in the blood. It's relaxing. It's there. You know. Um, the money said Tippy's laptop runs off of Vista. Oh Lord, that was bad. Oh man. For me, I was a fan of Windows XP. I think what did I like? Yeah, I like Windows 10, Windows XP, stuff of that nature. Sham said my graphics card alone is about $300. My new one I'm eyeing is about six. Ah, yes. Golden Brown says some of my children play, but I'm beyond that now. Hey, look here, you're never too old to game. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. But yeah, I get it though. I get it. I get it. That was a one part, in your life that it was like, yo, I really enjoy this, and now it's like, I can't see myself doing it. But like I say, you never know. There's millions of games directly out here. All it takes, I swear to you, all it takes is for that one game to get people back into gaming. I swear to goodness. Like I done seen people who thought they weren't even gamers, literally gaming because they got caught up with like one game and then that branched out into like other things. So, you know, it can happen. Mo said, "LOL, Tippy lying." Yo, what's up, Mo? Tippy said it was amazing at the time. $50 on the Macari. Wait, what? Is that supposed to be Atari? Like, wait, hold on. I'm a little bit confused. Tippy said, "LOL, not lying, Mo." What is that Macari? I don't even know what that is. Yo, that's crazy. That's diabolical right there. Wait, Tippy said, "I have a CD-ROM compact Presario." Yo, this is sound like ancient Chinese to me right now. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like ancient technology that's been unearthed for the first time. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, hilarious. But yeah, what was it? Sham said, Tippy said it's not funny, said GMO making fun of me. Hey, it be like that, Tippy. Sham said if you build a PC, I recommend going to PC Part Picker to make sure your parts are compatible. That's a very good point too. Let me post that directly up there. So that's for anybody that wants to build a PC, looking for PC parts, go directly there. I guess you got to just type in the parts that you plan on buying if you're going to build your PC part by part, and just make sure everything is compatible so you're not wasted. You don't have wasted money just lying around in tech. Tippy says you look up the Macari. As soon as you wrote that, I was thinking about macaroni. I don't know. I was just imagining food pretty much. Sam said, "Is Presario still in business?" I don't think they are. Uh, Virginia Nia, what is up? You said Macari is a shopping site. Oh, wait, didn't we? I could have sworn we went over that before. I swear it was like a live stream. Tippy told me to look up this site and they had different stuff there. Tippy, if you don't stop going on like these cheap sites, I don't know what that is. You going on like some ancient around the way into another universe site. You don't know what you getting. If you don't go to an ordinary site and store and buy some stuff, go to Newegg. Virginia Nina said that Newegg is yeah, that's where I go directly to build or to get parts. I go directly to Newegg and I try to specifically catch them on deals such as like Thanksgiving or Christmas, New Year's, July 4th and or Cyber Monday, whatever it is. I try to catch them specifically. That's how I got my RAM. And I need to get more, realistically. Sham said I don't use Newegg anymore for buying parts because they have the same problem as Amazon. I've bought some dead parts on there as well. Ooh, that's crazy. Yeah, I can see that happening. I can see that happening. Tippy said everybody was clowning me. I remember it'd be like that too. You've been part of this channel for a long time. That is a part of being here, Tippy. Like I said, y'all been clowning me before too, especially when I was cooking. Y'all was like, "Yo, Cedric, you cook like that? Seasoning, what's going on?" It's like, yo, y'all was clowning. Lighten me up, let me tell you. Sam said that's a huge loss for me. Yeah, I mean, you could, well, yeah, you can't do nothing with it. I mean, if you had like the warranty, maybe you might have been able to like to return it or something like that, but I don't know. Sam said, I want them to vet their sellers a bit better. Yeah. Virginia Nia said, I won't shop Amazon. It's personal for me. I do my part in boycott. LOL. No, I get that. I get that 100%. I get that. I get that. Mr. Samurai said, salute B1. Much love, respect, and appreciation to you and yours as well. Sham said, I love you, Tippy, but I think it's about time to buy a new PC. I've been telling this girl to sit up there and get a brand new PC for the launch for years. I'm talking about past 5 years. We've been having this conversation. It's gonna be moving on soon enough. 10 years. Let this keep going. She'll be like, "Yo, I still want to play Enjoy." I'm like, Tippy, we're in like the 2030s right now. What's happening? I'm like, we got to start up the Tippy fund to get that girl like a whole PC console, all this other type of stuff. We're gonna have to get that going. We're gonna have to get that going. Tippy said, I know, but I still run IMVU So that's why it's hard to move. Oh my God, you're still on that. And the funny part is I seen somebody else that actually still plays that. I'm like, wasn't that like back in like the 2000s? I'm like, people are still on there. What is it, like 100 people on there? I'm like, that's crazy. But hey, whatever games that people love. Like I said, you got people that's still out there on RuneScape, old RuneScape, just moving around, doing what it is that they do. So I get it. But anyways, like I said before, much love, respect, and appreciation to any and everybody that's been a part of the live stream. That is pretty much it. We're going to end it there, and I'm going to go find some food, and y'all go do the same thing as well too, because it is almost like 8 o'clock on a Thursday. So go out there and order, catch up on some movies and things of that nature too, and have fun. So much love, respect, and appreciation. I'm probably going to leave it up for a few minutes to allow people to get their thoughts through and to respond to some comments in the comment section, and then I will shut it after that.